Good evening and welcome to the Raw Feed. I'm Gary Franchi back from Washington, D.C., and tonight we're witnessing what could be the most significant collapse of congressional credibility in modern history. And I mean that literally. The evidence we're about to show you has Washington insiders scrambling for cover. But before we dive in, grab your phone and text this stream to everyone you know. Why? Because the algorithm cannot stop direct communication between patriots. They can't suppress the truth when we share it directly. Now, we're streaming live across multiple platforms, YouTube, Rumble, and X, reaching millions worldwide. And that reach matters tonight because more than ever, we're about to expose and reveal about Adam Schiff's property scandal is only the beginning. Wait until you see what we've uncovered about Omar telling reporters to F off, AOC's private jet hypocrisy, and Bernie's so-called fight oligarchy tour. It's day 107 of President Trump's return to the White House, and we are bringing you unprecedented coverage of the DOGE team's investigation into government waste. Yes, we might even meet the legendary Big Ballz along the way. But more importantly, we're exposing President Trump's game-changing executive order that has Fauci and his cohorts in absolute panic. And speaking of panic, wait until you see the media's complete meltdown as their narratives collapse in real time. And just when you think it couldn't get more explosive, we've got details about the bold plan to reopen Alcatraz that has the criminal underworld trembling. Now, what makes the Raw Feed different from any other news show is you, our viewers. Throughout tonight's broadcast, we'll be featuring your super chats and Rumble rants right here on the screen for the world to see. Your voice matters, and we make sure that it is heard. But let's be direct about something. Independent media is under attack. The only way that we can keep bringing you the truth is through your support. The links are in the description to help keep this show going. And for those ready to take their support to the next level, our channel memberships offer exclusive perks, including access to our 24/7 Discord chat and behind-the-scenes content with the Next News team. And yes, you can show your support proudly with official Next News Network gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. You'll find it linked below. Every purchase helps us keep fighting for the truth. Now, between segments, we will be monitoring your reactions in the live chat, featuring the best comments right here on screen. And your insights, they do often add crucial context to these developing stories and facts we may have missed. Now, the mainstream media talks at their audience. We talk with ours. So stay right here. In the next few hours, you're going to understand exactly why the establishment is in panic mode and why Schiff can't explain his two houses, why Omar is attacking reporters, and why AOC preaches climate change while flying private. And most importantly, why the deep state is terrified of what comes next. This is the Raw Feed, and we're just getting started, so let's welcome you to the show now. We got Chino Jr. and Joanne here. We got Lord Rodius. We got Tony Capone. We got Pothead Kenny in the house. We've got Juan Ruiz ready to stir the pot. R. Boyd and Susan. Jerome Schlichter. HR77. Franchi. That's right. We got Bill Olivero. We got Scott's Thoughts channel. Who else? We've got James Alexander in East Texas. We got Vivek Dong in Northern California. Let's go, America. Sure you and Hemp Knight and Tracy Jones. We've got 95 Nissan Trash Can. We've got Derek Martin and Susan and Betty Ballard. If your stream stopped, refresh it now. Why would it have stopped? Did it stop? Uh-oh. Okay, we're still live. All right. Sorry about that. I see a comment in the chat room and I get a little nervous. And okay, who else is in the house? We've got James. Sorry, that threw me off. We got Tracy Jones in Arizona. We got Bran Wen. He said they can't suppress, and boom, he is gone. Was there a hiccup in the stream, Brian? Oh, okay. All right. Well, it looks like we're back. All right. Hot Rod Mike is here. We got Joy from Cajun Country in Lafayette, Louisiana. Jill Mason is here as well. We've got, who else? We've got Michelle Fiacco in St. Charles, Illinois. What's going on in St. Charles? Yeah, that's not too far from where I'm at. We got Brad McHenry. We got 10 Dude. We got Lori Newland, Bay Brown, Excuse me. We got Kevin Peterson. The Rumble bot is here. We got Branwin, Jay Harvey, Villain, Carmen Marchesani, Carmen Marchesani, Michelle Fiacco, Quigley, Nitro Burp. The gang is all here. Kevin Peterson's here too. Carrie Knopf, Jesse Menendez, Gary Mason, Jill Mason, no relation. Who else? Ronald Mass Deportations is here. Hot Rod Mike in the house. Dehydrated Nurse. Military Mom. Batman's here. Finally, we've been waiting. Oh, Villain's in Fort Lauderdale. Nice. Tim Poberk in Shotgun Willie. Silver Kindle is here. Californication. Betty Lester. Ronald Church from Pluto's here. Karen Myron. Lord Radius. Mary Busby. Wow. All you guys are here. This is great. Great to see everybody. Great to be back in the studio. 3% Preffers here. David Helfreich is here as well. We got a lot of news to jump into today, so let's jump right into it, shall we? Thank you, Brian. Who else is here? David, you like my non-gay frog? Yeah. Ordered that from the InfoWars store. It did stop YouTube playing games. I'm not sure what happened, but we're back. That's all that matters. Okay, just waiting for Brian. And yeah, it froze while the music was playing. Huh. Okay, well, it happens. But we're back. Now let's rock and roll. Sometimes a presidency changes more than just policy. It changes the very fabric of a nation. In the last 24 hours, a series of dramatic announcements from the White House has Washington insiders scrambling, global markets shifting, and America's enemies deeply concerned. What President Trump just set in motion goes far beyond typical executive actions, and the implications reach into every American household, every factory floor, and straight into the heart of our national security. The establishment tried desperately to prevent this from happening, and by the end of this report, you'll understand exactly why and what it means for America's future. Now, I do have an important news alert. Okay, this is the hard truth. Every 6 years, your dollar loses half its buying power. That means a $100,000 savings account today could feel like $50,000 by year 31. By 2031. Now, you see it every time you fill up your tank, you buy groceries or pay the bills, prices are up, your dollar is down, but there's a simple way to protect your savings with something real, something proven. Gold, an asset that holds its value over time. That's why I trust Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to protect your savings with physical gold or silver. No high-pressure sales, just honest guidance and simple pricing. When you open a qualified account, Noble Gold sends you a free silver flag bar. Visit Next News Gold today, and you'll find the link in the description as well as the phone number, 877-646-5347. All right, now let's get into it. A couple hours ago, the Canadian Prime Minister, the one who is destined to finally destroy Canada once and for all, Mark J. Carney, was welcomed by President Trump to the White House, of course. Maybe they're having discussions about becoming the 51st state. I do doubt that, though. But we have to take a look at this as well. This is from Amuse. 80% of Canada's refined fuel comes from America. Few Canadians realize that their nation's almost entirely dependent on U.S. gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. In fact, 80% refined oil products for domestic consumption in Canada come from America. So they have absolutely zero leverage. So let's get into some of the topics we're going to be running through in this. This is some footage from the Oval Office when the two met just a few hours ago, talking about the Houthis. And this is President Trump.
We had some very good news last night. The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight. And we will honor that. And we will stop the bombings. And they have capitulated, but more importantly, we will take their word. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore. And that's what the purpose of what we were doing. So that's just news. We just found out about that. So I think that's very, very positive. They were knocking out a lot of ships going, as you know, sailing beautifully down the various seas. It wasn't just the canal, it was a lot of other places. And I will accept their word, and we are going to stop the bombing of the Houthis, effective immediately.
Yeah, we'll see if they stay true to their word. But we've got this, a truth bomb in the Oval Office. Zero Hedge just asked Trump. They were in the pool. That was really cool to get that pool report and see Zero Hedge's name right there. They asked Trump who really blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. Yes, not CNN, not the New York Times, Zero Hedge, who was banned under the last administration, walked into the Oval Office and asked one question the mainstream media never would. Let's listen.
This question for a long. First, I just want to thank you for letting us in here. I'm with Zero Hedge, and the last administration banned us on social media, so we're really grateful to be in the White House. And this is not exactly sports related, but I've been dying to ask you this question for a long time, which is that 2.5 years ago, the Nord Stream pipeline blew up. Yeah. And despite what people like John Brennan and all the hawks said, you were one person who said Russia probably did not blow up its own pipeline.
Yeah, if you can believe, they said Russia blew it up, yeah.
And so I'm wondering now that you're president, if you would consider launching a formal investigation into what happened there and who actually did blow it up.
Well, probably if I asked certain people, I'd be able to tell you without having to waste a lot of money on an investigation. But I think a lot of people know who blew it up. But I was the one that blew it up originally because I wouldn't let it be built. And then when Biden got in, he allowed it to be built. And it's very interesting. But I think Russia, with the price of oil right now, oil's gone down, I think we're in a good position to settle. They want to settle. Ukraine wants to settle. If I weren't president, nobody would be settling.
So President Trump not going to waste time on any investigations, just got to pick up the phone and ask a few people to get to the bottom of the Nord Stream disaster. And hats off to Zero Hedge for asking that question and being in the Oval. We got this from Rapid Response. This is Donald Trump post-Truth Social talking about the movie industry in America. It's dying, very fast death. Other countries offering all sorts of incentives to draw filmmakers and studios away from the U.S. Hollywood and many other areas within the U.S. are being devastated. This is a concerted effort by other nations and therefore a national security threat. I don't know if it's a national security threat. I don't think Hollywood taking incentive to go to other countries, not necessarily a national security threat. So I think you may be a little off on that, Mr. President. But he continues, it is, in addition to everything else, messaging and propaganda. Therefore, I'm authorizing the Department of Commerce and the United States Trade Representative to immediately begin the process of instituting a 100% tariff on any and all movies coming into our country that are produced in foreign lands. We want movies made in America again. I'm not sure how that would look. How do you, like, if a movie is transmitted into the country? That will be interesting. Here is President Trump outside Marine One weighing in on that very topic. Let's listen.
A lot of them, the movie tariffs, what they've done is other nations have been stealing the movies, the movie-making capabilities from the United States. And I said to a couple of people, what do you think? I've done some very strong research over the last week, and we're making very few movies now. Hollywood is being destroyed. Now, you have an incompetent, grossly incompetent governor that allowed that to happen. So I'm not just blaming other nations, but other nations, a lot of them, have stolen our movie industry. And I'm saying if they're not willing to make a movie inside the United States, then we should have a tariff on movies that come in. And not only that, governments are actually giving big money. I mean, they're supporting them financially. So that's sort of a threat to our country in a sense. And it's been a very popular thing. I can tell you one thing, movie makers love it. The movie tariffs, what they've done is...
Okay, so President Trump weighing in on that. Here's more from the president giving a commencement address talking about borders. They're not racist, despite what the media tells you.
It helps when you know that borders are not racist, speech is not violence, America is good, terrorists are bad. Men can never become women. Police are not criminals, and criminals are not victims. It helps when you know that.
Yeah, that's just called common sense. And here we have Jeremy Hunt talking about President Trump owning the moment.
these moments. There's no one who owns the moment like President Trump. I mean, I don't know if Mark Carney thought he was going to own the cameras better than President Trump, but you should know by now that he knows how to manage these moments and to project strength. There's no one who owns the moment.
And Canada does not do very well at projecting strength. He's, of course, talking about the meeting today in the Oval Office. Here's President Trump again in the Oval Office with the Canadian Prime Minister talking about California and Gavin Newsom.
That train is in California, a little train going from San Francisco to Los Angeles that's being run by Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Did you ever hear of Gavin Newsom? He has got, that train is the worst cost overrun I've ever seen. It's like totally out of control. So then they said, all right, we won't go into San Francisco. We'll stop 25 miles short. And we won't go into Los Angeles. We'll stop 25 miles short. It's hundreds of billions of dollars for this stupid project that should have never been built. And then they realized that it would have been a lot less costly if we just gave limousine service back and forth and gave it free. They would have saved hundreds of billions of dollars. They have airplanes that go there for one 1/100th the cost. And they have cars. They have a thing called the highway that goes back and forth. It's not fully utilized. And they got involved with this project. And Gavin, you know, I always liked Gavin. I had a good relationship with him. I just got him a lot of water. You know, I sent in people to open up that water because he refused to do it. And we just got him a lot of water. If they would have had that water, and if they would have done what I said to do, they wouldn't have had the fires in Los Angeles. Those fires would have been put out very quickly. But if you think about it, and you got to take a look at this, it's the worst cost overrun I've ever seen. I've watched a lot of stupid people build a lot of stupid things, but that's the worst cost overrun I've ever seen, what's happening between San Francisco and Los Angeles. And you ought to ask about that, because this government is not going to pay. I told our very great new Secretary of Transportation, he's doing a good job, Sean Duffy, I said, we're not going to pay for that thing. They are just, it's out of control in California.
And that's California for you, though. And President Trump knows it, calling him out. And let's go over to the Department of Defense. Here is the Secretary of Defense talking about restoring the warrior ethos just a few hours ago.
The warrior. But then the president, after he said that, went on to say, I need you and I want you to restore the warrior ethos in our military, full stop. And that's been my first priority since day one, is restoring the warrior ethos. It's one of the most fundamental of those three objectives. Again, humans more important than hardware. Everything starts and ends with warriors, from training to the battlefield. We are leaving wokeness and weakness behind.
And it's about time we did that. Here we have President Trump on Meet the Press talking about how he wants to treat people fairly, whether they voted for him or not.
Try to make sure
I want to treat people fairly, whether they voted for me or not. I want to have a unified country. It's very hard because the media is so fake, including, like, even the way you ask questions. Every question is asked in a negative vein. There's a toy company that took a toddler's, whatever, but you don't talk about the fact that gasoline is down at numbers that nobody believes possible. You know why they're down, by the way? Drill, baby, drill. We're drilling like crazy right now.
We try to make sure every question is fair, Mr. President.
Look, every question you ask says a very negative slant.
No, but look, I'm just curious.
I'm fine for responding to you. I don't think you're very difficult at all to respond to be honest with you. But you know what? You should ask some positive things. I want to treat people fairly.
Yeah, but that's the fake news. That's what they do best, is spin with loaded questions. Continuing on with the same interview, here's the president talking about how he just wants to be great.
Physical. I want to be a great president. I will have served. Hopefully, everything will go well. I feel very good. I just did a physical. I took, unlike all other presidents, I took cognitive tests and I aced it. I got 100% correct. And one doctor said, there were numerous doctors watching. And he said, I've never seen that before. Biden didn't take a cognitive. He couldn't have gotten the first question right. But I came out great with the physical, both physically and mentally. And I just want to serve, do a great job. I'll be an 8-year president. I'll be a 2-term president. I always thought that was very important, to be honest with you. You know, if you look at President Polk, He was a one-termer, and he did some great things, actually. A pretty good president. And I'm not saying you can't do that, but there's something about being a two-term president that was very important to me. I want to be a great president.
Well, of course, he gets to actually execute on his vision more so than, it's always the first term. They're testing the waters, and second term they turn up the heat, and we're certainly seeing the heat turned up in this first 100 days. Here we have the president confirming what he's going to do with his salary, like he did in the first term.
They told me no other president, they say, with the possible exception of George Washington, and they haven't been able to find those records. And we've had wealthy presidents before, but no other president has contributed the salary. And they told me before this that you will probably be asking me whether or not I'm going to contribute my salary again, but you haven't asked that.
Are you going to?
Yes.
You are? Okay.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, I appreciate.
Did you catch that? He had to load her with a question, because you're not going to ask that. And then she asked, she leans into it because she has to, because, otherwise she looks stupid. But she looks stupid anyway. Here we have Stephen A. Smith, Democrat, says he's happy that Trump won. Why?
Could sell it to. When I'm abhorring or lamenting the state of affairs within the Democratic Party, I'm basically talking about what they were focusing on. They may be doing things on the state and local level and may deserve an abundance of credit for it, but that's not the message that we were receiving. And you know why we weren't receiving that message? Because they didn't think they could sell it to us. They didn't think that that would be good enough. They wanted to make sure, we're going to point to racism. We're going to guilt you into voting for us. We're not going to talk about the things that we're doing positively. We're going to talk about what the other side is doing negatively to engage in fear-mongering to help you, through fear factor, go our way instead of theirs. And it didn't work this time. And to be quite honest with you, even though I might not like some of the things I'm seeing from the Trump administration thus far, the bottom line is I'm glad it didn't work, because I think for the longest time, black Americans have played the role of suckers to the Democratic Party. They've guilted us into voting for them, making us feel as if we're going to be ostracized, creating division within our own communities or what have you to get our vote, instead of saying to us, hey, this is what we will do for you, and it will work better than what they're offering.
That's a fact. The Democrats just take the black vote for granted, but they are leaving the Democrat plantation in droves. Here we have Carly Bone talking about the Pulitzer Prize-winning photo. Doug Miles, New York Times. I was in the White House press room, and I didn't actually meet him, but I was talking with some cameramen, and they pointed out, like, hey, that guy right there, he's the guy that took this picture. It's amazing when you're there and you get to be surrounded by so many people who have witnessed history. Let's listen.
Mills awarded. So breaking right now, New York Times photographer Doug Mills awarded the Pulitzer Prize for the stunning images he took in Butler, Pennsylvania, the assassination attempt on President Trump, July 13, 2024. We remember this incredible image of the bullet whizzing by the president after grazing his ear. There were a lot of stunning images from that day, but that one has just been awarded the Pulitzer Prize.
Amazing. Pulitzer Prize winning photograph there. We will never forget that day. I know you will never forget either. Here's more from Stephen A. Smith talking about Democrats, all Dems and liberals, what they must do to make deals with Trump is show him basic respect.
Whether you're an elected politician or you're somebody that's going to have to do business with him, you're going to have to recognize you're going to have to appease him to some degree. You're going to have to do that. I've been critical of him for years. But he was nice on News Nation. You know why? I said, good evening, Mr. President. Good to talk to you. Something as simple as that. Remember when he was at the NABJ, National Association for Black Journalists, over the summer? And Rachel Scott did a phenomenal job interviewing her. She asked the right questions. She asked the questions that people wanted to know. But what did Trump say?
That's just a nasty, nasty question. You didn't even say hello. How are you?
You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you?
See what I'm saying? You don't even say.
Disrespect right out the gate. But you're seeing appeasement in the form of Democrats turning to Trump. I mean, even look at Gretchen Whitmer. She was in the Oval Office just recently. Here we have more. Bataya Ungar Sargon hitting the nail on the head, talking about products, making high-quality products in America.
Couple American. You know what this is kind of making me think a lot about is the fact that every rich person I know, their daughter has 2 or 3 dolls, maybe a couple American Girl dolls, 2 or 3 expensive, nice dolls, and no crap from China. But if you go into a broke person's house, that floor is littered with broken toys from the dollar store.
So now we're shaming people for being
Barbie shaming is the opportunity to make enough money to make the same decisions that every rich person is already making and keeping the cheap toys away from their kids. And the people braying the loudest about this are the people who would never let their kids buy those crappy toys. And it is so offensive to me because when you talk to working class people, they sound just like the president. They would love to be buying high quality stuff for their kids instead of 1,000 cheap things that are going to break immediately because that's what they can afford.
That's the worst.
Okay, that was kind of weird, but I think I get what she's saying. I mean, I've got kids and they've got a bunch of broken toys. They don't last very long. Here we have the recount asking, are we in a constitutional crisis? They asked lawyers who rallied in New York City against Trump. Let's listen.
This administration.
We asked a group of lawyers, are we in a constitutional crisis? And this is what they had to say.
Yes, we are.
Yes. Still remains to be seen how severe.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We are definitely in a constitutional crisis.
It certainly feels that way.
What does a constitutional crisis mean to you?
That the executive branch is trying to overtake and control the other branches of government. And this administration has no respect for that, which is the backbone of the Constitution.
How do we get out of a constitutional crisis?
It's going to require a lot more activism from people than maybe what they're used to. Mainly right now, it requires the courts to really stand up and do what's right, and for the Supreme Court to do their job.
Trump has been attacking judges in the judicial branch, saying that they are overreaching their power and taking away his power. Checks and balances have been in our system for more than 250 years. Does the judicial branch have more power, as he says?
We have 3 co-equal branches of government. Trump is just disregarding that. The fact that people are enabling him to do that is giving him more power. We, as lawyers, the judiciary, we need to stand up and take back the power and let people know that it's 3 co-equal branches. No one man has the power.
We asked a group of lawyers.
Okay, sure. How much lawfare have we seen from the judicial branch? Okay, there's no constitutional crisis occurring at all in this country. It's all manufactured. These people are hallucinating. Let's keep going. Speaking of protests, here we have Rachel Maddow. What's she saying on MSNBC?
Back of semi-trucks and soldiers, and you guessed it, tanks. It is still unclear if those tanks will be rolling or stationary or on the back of semi-trucks, maybe. But the whole spectacle is set for the 250th anniversary of the founding of the U.S. Army, which also happens to be the president's own birthday, June 14th. And if that news makes you want to be somewhere, anywhere else, take heart. Something else is happening that day. At more than 100 locations around the country thus far, I have a feeling there's going to be more than that. A coalition of groups, including Indivisible and Social Security Works and 5051, they are all organizing a nationwide day of protest for June 14th. They're calling it No King's Day. As they put it on their website, quote, Donald Trump wants tanks in the street and a made-for-TV display of dominance for his birthday, a spectacle meant to look like strength. But real power isn't staged in Washington. It rises up everywhere else. Joining us now is Ezra
Yeah,
Levin.
we did rise up, actually, Rachel, and we elected a president to fix the mess that Joe Biden left behind, and you aided and abetted in his crimes. So that's where we stand there. Here we have Carolina, an American ballet dancer wrongfully detained in Russia for 14 months, has now returned home. Listen. Oh, wait. Where'd it go? Here she is.
What's your message to the president? Mr. Trump, I'm so grateful for you to bring me home and for American government. And I never felt more blessed to be American. And I'm so happy to get home. Thank you.
Welcome home.
Thank you so much.
What's your message?
Yeah, I'm sure Joe Biden would have fumbled that deal. Here we have another instance where President Trump saving an American abroad. Keith Siegel, an American held hostage by Hamas for 484 days, was freed in February, and he spoke at, looks like a commencement address as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much, President Trump. I'm here, and I'm alive. President Trump, you saved my life.
And those are just 2 lives you saw affected, but there are so many others. Here's another one. Mark Fogel, an American teacher wrongfully detained in a Russian prison for years. He also returned home in February.
In this at all. I feel like the luckiest man on earth right now. And I want you to know that I am not a hero in this at all. And President Trump is a hero.
He certainly is a hero to so many Americans, not just those 3. And of course, we're going to keeping track of all these wins every single day. So let's just be clear about what we've witnessed. President Trump isn't just changing policies. He's fundamentally transforming how America operates. The restoration of common sense values, the return of American manufacturing, the accountability in government, it's all connected. And here's the question nobody in the mainstream media dares to ask. If these policies are so successful now, why weren't they implemented decades ago? I mean, think about that. Why did previous administrations choose globalism over American prosperity? And who was profiting? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And speaking of excellence, have you seen our Next News merch shop? Make sure you check it out. It's linked down below. The products are flying off the shelves faster than mainstream media can spin their latest narratives. So tap the link in the description and secure yours while you can. All right. Let's keep going. Any super chats? Nope. No super chats. Wow. Okay. Okay. But we do have Jeff, who gifted a membership to Arlene, and he also gifted one to Albrecht. Thank you, Jeff, for welcoming these 2 new members to the family. Okay, and let's see. We're going into topic 2 now. Oh, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay, 2. Here we go. All right. We got a lot of ground to cover here. And let's move right into it. Brian, if you're ready, I'm ready. Remember when they said American jobs were gone forever, that certain words on every product label were just a fact of life? Well, something extraordinary just happened in American manufacturing that's about to turn that narrative upside down. We've obtained exclusive details of moves being made right now that have China's leadership in absolute panic. Even the Wall Street Journal can't ignore what is unfolding. And by the end of this report, you'll understand why the global markets are shaking, why factories across America are suddenly humming, and why Beijing's economists are working through the night. Now, as American factories spring back to life, it's time to bring your household essentials back home too. Like President Trump's push for American manufacturing, our partners at healthwithgary.com are committed to Made in USA excellence. Their premium collagen formula is proudly produced in American facilities by American workers under the strictest quality controls. While other companies outsource to questionable overseas facilities, we're keeping it all right here at home. Join the American quality revolution and get 51% off your first order at healthwithgary.com. Support American workers and choose American quality. Okay, so let's digest what's happening. I mean, you guys remember NAFTA, the giant sucking sound that Ross Perot had talked about, jobs moving overseas, outsourced to China, Mexico. Well, that's all changing. Finally, we're seeing manufacturing return to America because President Trump's leadership and his threats of tariffs have really spooked these companies. They don't want to lose. They don't want to lose market share, so they've got to get their manufacturing back in the United States. And here is Teamsters President Sean O'Brien talking about bringing manufacturing back to this country.
Anybody, I think I said this before, whatever President Trump does, even if it's good for this country, just because his name's Trump, he's not going to get the support. We're looking beyond any differences of opinions that we've had with anybody, and we want to bring manufacturing back to this country. We want to bring jobs, put people to work, have a career path. Not everybody has the ability to go to a four-year college. There's ability to bring manufacturing back, put people to work, have careers, and live a middle-class life.
Yeah, there's some good paying jobs out there.
I think regardless of whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or an independent, we should be realist and want to encourage people to develop and manufacture in this country. I think I said this before.
Yeah, keep it all in-house. I mean, is that too difficult? But no, the globalists want to sell out the American worker and destroy the middle class, make us all, a service economy. Remember that term? We're just going to be a service economy now. How about not? Here's President Trump talking in the Oval Office earlier today with the new Canadian Prime Minister who's going to destroy that country, talking about manufacturing in our cars and Canada. Oh, Canada.
We are the largest client of the United States.
Yes, you are.
In the totality of all the goods. So we are the largest client of the United States. We have a tremendous auto sector between the two of us, and the changes that made have been helpful. 50% of a car that comes from Canada is American. That's not like anywhere else in the world. And to your question about is there one thing? No, this is a bigger discussion. There are much bigger forces involved, and this will take some time and some discussions, and that's why we're here, to have those discussions, and that is represented by who's sitting around the table.
See, the conflict is, and this is very friendly. We're not. This is not going to be like we had another little blow up with somebody else. That was a much different. This is a very friendly conversation, but. We want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada. And we put tariffs on cars from Canada, and at a certain point, it won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars. And we don't want steel from Canada because we're making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things because we want to be able to do it ourselves. And we, because of, past thinking of people, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. In other words, they have a surplus with us. And there's no reason for us to be subsidizing Canada. Canada's a place that will have to be able to take care of itself economically. I assume they can. I will tell you that Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that probably didn't help his election. But when I spoke to him, I said, so why are we taking your cars? Why are we taking we want to make them ourselves. I mean, I said, and if the price of your cars went up, or if we put a tariff on your cars of 25%, what would that mean to you? He said, that would mean the end of Canada. He actually said that to me. And I said, that's a strange answer, but I understand his answer. But no, I mean, it's hard to justify subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion a year. We protect Canada militarily, and we always will. We're going to, that's not a money thing. But we always will. But, it's not fair. But why are we subsidizing Canada $200 billion a year, or whatever the number might be? It's a very substantial number. And it's hard for the American taxpayer to say, gee whiz, we love doing that.
We are the largest.
Yeah. He just crapped his pants listening to Trump talk like that right in front of him in the Oval Office. You know that, right? Here's Howard Lutnick talking about the arrangement with car companies and the USMCA.
And then 50. So we've made an arrangement with the car companies that 15% of their USMCA parts are included, and then 15% of foreign parts from the manufactured suggested retail price are not tariffed to help domestic manufacturing really thrive.
So it gave them a chance to be able to build their car parts factories if they're going to. A lot of these companies already have factories, and what they have to do is just fill them out. But they're able to build them in the United States, so we gave them a pretty substantial period of time.
And that's how you do it, right? Here's President Trump talking about the CHIPS Act in the Oval Office today.
You know, and it's hitting right now. Look, they're already starting AI plants. These are not people that look for financing. That's a good thing. You know, in real estate, you get a site, then you have to look for financing, you have to get your zoning, 5 years later you start building, you get a bank, then the bank's no good.
And then Letitia James shows up and files charges against you. But those chickens are coming home to roost, aren't they? I'm sorry, I digress. I didn't mean to interrupt the president. Let's continue.
Yeah, these people have massive amounts of cash. The CHIPS Act was a ridiculous thing because that doesn't get them to build. All we did is hand very wealthy companies money. The CHIPS Act that was done by Biden, billions. We give them billions of dollars. They don't even have to do anything with it. And then if you weren't, if you didn't have, and I don't want to be a wise guy, but if you didn't go with the DEI, if you didn't go with all of the different things woke, if you weren't woke, you couldn't even use the money. You had to have a certain percentage of this and that and that and that. It's impossible to have. The companies actually complained to me. They say they gave me all this money, but nobody can get these people to do anything. I mean, look, President Obama, and if he wanted help, I'd give him help because I'm a really good builder and I build on time, on budget. He's building his library in Chicago. It's a disaster. And he said something to the effect, I only want DEI, I only want woke. He wants woke people to build it. Well, he got woke people, and they have massive cost overruns. The job is stopped. I don't know. It's a disaster. And I don't like that happening because I think it's bad for the presidency that a thing like that should happen. He's got a library that's a disaster. And he wanted to be very politically correct, and he didn't use good, hard, tough, mean construction workers that I love, Marco. I love those construction workers. But he didn't want construction workers. He wanted people that never did it before, and he's got a disaster in his hands. Oh, it's hitting right now. Look.
Let's keep going in the Oval Office. People asking about deals. When are you going to sign the deals?
I said, just to finish, we also have a situation, because everyone says, when are you going to sign deals? We don't have to sign deals. We could sign 25 deals right now, Howard, if we wanted. We don't have to sign deals. They have to sign deals with us. They want a piece of our market. We don't want a piece of their market. We don't care about their market. They want a piece of our market. So we can just sit down, and I'll do this at some point over the next 2 weeks, and I'll sit with Howard and Scott and with our great vice president, who has done a really good job. We have some good news to report on a lot of fronts. But JD will be there, and Marco, and we're going to sit down, and we're going to put very fair numbers down, and we're going to say, here's what this country, what we want, and congratulations, we have a deal. And they'll either say, great, and they'll start shopping, or they'll say, not good, we're not going to do it. I said, that's okay, you don't have to shop. Now, we may think, well, they have a right, that maybe we were a little bit wrong, so we'll adjust it. And then you people will say, oh, it's so chaotic. No, we're flexible. But we'll sit down, and we'll, at some point, in some cases, we'll sign some deals. It's much less important than what I'm talking about. For the most part, we're just going to put down a number and say, this is what you're going to pay to shop. And it's going to be a very fair number. It'll be a low number. We're not looking to hurt countries. We want to help countries. We want to be friendly with countries. But you keep writing about deals. When are we going to sign? It's very simple. We're going to say, in some cases, we want you to open up your country. In some cases, we want you to drop your tariffs. I mean, India, as an example, has one of the highest tariffs in the world. We're not going to put up with that. And they've agreed already to drop it. They'll drop it to nothing. They've already agreed. They would have never done that for anybody else but me. So we're going to put down some numbers, and we're going to say our country is open for business. And they're going to come in, and they're going to pay for the privilege of being able to shop in the United States of America. It's very simple. It's very simple. So I wish they'd keep, stop asking, how many deals are you signing this week? Because one day we'll come and we'll give you 100 deals. And they don't have to sign. All they have to do is say, oh, we'll start sending our ships right now to pick up whatever we want or to bring whatever we want. It's very, very simple. And I think my people haven't made it clear. We will sign some deals, but much bigger than that is we're going to put down the price that people are going to have to pay to shop in the United States. Think of us as a super luxury store, a store that has the goods. You're going to come and you're going to pay a price, and we're going to give you a very good price. We're going to make very good deals, and in some cases we'll adjust. But that's where it is.
The dealmaker-in-chief on full display in the Oval Office today. Continuing the conversation about China and the negotiations going on there.
Yeah. But they want to negotiate, and they want to have a meeting, and we'll be meeting with them at the right time.
But you haven't met with them yet?
I have not met with them. Of course, you would know if I met. I'd tell you they want to meet, but we are right now. Look, they're suffering greatly. Their economy is suffering greatly because they're not doing trade with the U.S. and they made most of their money off the U.S. Don't kid yourself. They don't make the money off other countries like this. And they were making. We had a trade imbalance. We had a deficit, or they had a surplus. Another way of saying it, of more than $1 trillion. Think of it, more than $1 trillion. And because of 145%, that's the only reason, but because of they have now 145% tariff, there's no trading. You can't trade with 145%. We are, therefore, making, in a certain way, I guess, $1.1 trillion. In other words, we're not losing $1.1 trillion. Our deficit is much better. When I started, I say we were losing billions of dollars a day on trade. That's rapidly turning around. We looked at numbers this morning. So we were losing, the United States during Biden was losing more than, I won't even give you numbers because they're so embarrassing, but billions of dollars a day on trade. Those numbers are rapidly turning between the tariffs. Don't forget, we're now getting 25% on cars, 25% on aluminum, 25% on steel, and maybe more importantly, massive numbers of companies are moving into the United States. Honda, we have tremendous, the car companies that are moving in at levels we've never seen before. The biggest investment ever made in the United States is being made right now. Trillions of dollars. I would say we could be at $9 trillion. You could go back to other presidents. They haven't had $1 trillion for their entire term. Look at Biden. He had bad numbers. People were leaving. They weren't coming in. They were leaving with Biden, and he didn't know the difference. The only thing he knew is people coming in. You know who they were? Illegal immigrants. But they want to negotiate, and they want to have a meeting, and we'll be meeting with them at the right time.
China is on the ropes. I'd love to see it. Continuing the conversation about tariffs, this is the president on Meet the Press.
It's not, to me, I think what is a great misnomer is the word tariff in many cases, it's not, to me, I don't view it as a tax. I view it as an incentive for people to come into the United States and build plants, factories, offices, a lot of things. I think it's an incentive, but the thing that's not known is if you look back and see, oftentimes like China or Vietnam or other countries, not just China, because China's an abuser, but there are other abusers. Many of them are friends, the so-called, I say friend and foe, and friend is oftentimes worse than foe. But what people don't understand is, and this is a lot, the country eats the tariff, the company eats the tariff, and it's not passed along at all.
Well, some CEOs are saying they're going to have to pass it on. So how do you deal with those CEOs?
But the company,
how do you deal with those CEOs?
China is eating the tariffs right
What do you say to those CEOs who are saying we might have to pass this on to the consumer?
Well, they say that because maybe it's to their advantage to say it.
Will
Maybe
you punish them?
No, because you know what? I want them to build plants in the United States. That way they don't have any tariffs. See, tariffs will, and not only will, look at what's happened. In 2 months, we're close to $9 trillion of investment. We've never been anywhere near that. I think what is a great misnomer is
$9 trillion in investment. Yeah, Joe Biden could have never pulled that off. Here's a short soundbite more with the president on tariffs.
Remember, they're going to make so much money.
Are these tariffs?
If you build your product here. Remember, there are no tariffs if you build your product here. It's very easy. It's very simple.
It is rather simple, but some people like this reporter. They just can't figure it out. Let's continue to talk with see the president here in this interview and meet the press.
Never do business.
You're not dropping the tariffs against China to get them to the negotiating table. Those tariffs are staying on.
Why would I do that?
Would you lower them?
At some point, I'm going to lower them because otherwise you could never do business with them.
Yeah.
And they want to do business very much. Look, their economy is really doing badly. Their economy is collapsing.
You're not dropping the tariffs against China.
Their economy is collapsing. Perfect. Here is Governor Youngkin talking about companies that want to come to a place where they have great infrastructure.
Then yes, companies want to come to a place where they have great infrastructure, a great workforce, and can touch customers all over America. And that's resulted in, yes, $100 billion of commitments from companies who are in Virginia expanding, or new ones who want to come. And we have seen our pipeline with President Trump resetting trade relationships around the world grow as so many international companies recognize that they need to be in America. And I'm telling them, come to Virginia.
That's great.
The great American manufacturing renaissance is upon us, spearheaded by President Trump. Here's the Eli Lilly CEO talking about what happened at the White House last week.
Have me on.
Before we get to the new plant, tell me about your meeting with the president.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Today I'm visiting one of our labs here in Indianapolis, and as you mentioned, later today we're doing the big groundbreaking. Yeah, we were at the White House last week to talk about, with other industries as well as many pharma companies, the expansion of manufacturing in the U.S. And it was good to see yesterday the executive order streamlining that process, which, as you know, regulatory delay can take up to half the time to produce a new site. So that's slowing us down. We need to go faster than that in America. And we're pleased to see that news because Lilly's currently building 6 new sites and about to announce 4 more. So just in time for the work we need to do.
Before we get to the...
Yep, he's certainly afraid of tariffs. Let's take a look at Mr. Kratsios. Remember this guy? He was the one that said that we had technology to bend time and space. Well, here he is on Fox Business talking about the semiconductor manufacturing
in the U.S. President Trump has done an incredible job of being able to bring these semiconductor manufacturing fabs back into the United States. So TSMC is developing a big project in Arizona to develop some of these for NVIDIA, and we're going to continue to see lots of other technology companies reshoring here so we can make these critical technologies here in the U.S. President Trump.
So the numbers don't lie. American manufacturing isn't just coming back, it's exploding. Every factory reopening represents another community restored, another supply chain secured, another piece of our national independence reclaimed. But this raises the critical question. Who convinced us to abandon our manufacturing heritage in the first place? Which politicians profited from selling out American workers to China? Tell us what you think in the comments below. And while we are celebrating America's industrial revival, show your support for the Next News Network with some quality gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. It's linked below this video. And show the world you stand with the real news. Right on. Okay, some super chats finally coming in. Remember, super chats, you guys are like the lifeblood of the show. I have to read what you put in the super chat. Those are the rules. As ridiculous as it as it may be, I have to read it. And I've read some ridiculous stuff here. All right, we got Tony. Let's get this party started. I hope you had a great vacation. I don't know if I would call it a vacation, Tony. When you're at the White House, you are definitely you're busting your butt over there, and it's exhausting. And it takes days to recover, especially with the workload that I put myself under. And then we have Jeff dropping $10. We are the future, shining bright. Thanks for the hard work and long hours you put in for us. Next News Network will go down as one of the most influential outlets of the 2024 election. God bless. Thank you, Jeff, for acknowledging our work here. And Automation D&D dropping $5. You should do a T-shirt that Alex was right. Or how about just Alex Jones was right jar? I got this from Alex's shop too. Yeah. So we got to fill the jar tonight, guys. What's going on? All right. Alex Jones was right jar right here on the desk. And then we have Jesus C. Rome, New York in the house. What's up? Jesus C. in Rome, dropping $2 in the Alex Jones was right jar. And then our Boyd dropping a 10-spot Love by N3 fam. Now taking my money. Taking my money. All right, we will. It's in the Alex Jones was right jar right now. Okay, so we're moving into topic 3 for the evening show. You're watching the raw feed on the Next News Network. And where is Todd? Is Todd around? I want to make sure where is Todd? Is he still with us? Because I'm looking for... Okay. So we've got so topic 3 broken up into 2 folders. Okay, I just want to make sure I don't forget to jump into that second folder. Sometimes I get ahead of myself, so just want to make sure we do it. And Lenny dropping $5. Love bomb, one love, Lynn. Thank you, Lynn, so much for that. Sincerely. Okay, let's get into this. Adam Schiff. It's not looking good. Finally. Okay. Let's see. Let's move to... Let's see where we have here. Okay. You ever notice how the loudest voices attacking President Trump often have the most to hide? Well, tonight we've obtained documents about Adam Schiff that are sending tremors through the Democrat establishment. What investigators just uncovered makes all his previous scandals look like minor infractions. While other outlets are burying this story, we're about to show you evidence that could end not just a career, but an entire narrative. The details are so explosive that 3 senior Democrats have already started distancing themselves, so pay close attention to what happens next. Now, I'm going to ask you something. Are you tired of the aches and pains that come with watching corrupt politicians twist the truth? There is a solution that works as effectively as investigators exposing Schiff's lies. This breakthrough turmeric formula is 200 times more powerful than standard supplements, targeting inflammation at its source. Just as we're exposing the truth in Washington, this formula exposes the lies about chronic pain. Don't let discomfort hold you back from fighting for what's right. Visit goldenrevive.com/NNN. It's linked down below to discover how this revolutionary formula can help you stay in the fight. Just tap more below this video. Now, this just in. A complaint has been filed against Adam Schiff for allegedly committing fraud and perjury by listing 2 homes as his primary residence. Does Joe Biden's pardon cover this? I don't know. Sounds like it could be a state matter. Investigators Christine Bash and John Steubens filed an ethics complaint alleging that Adam Schiff committed fraud and perjury. Wow. Let's keep digging. Committed perjury and fraud by listing his homes in California and Maryland as his primary residence between 2002 and 2020, violating state and federal laws. The alleged Schiff has been claiming dual primary residences for more than a decade, all while enjoying tax exemptions intended for homeowners. Schiff has owned a spacious 3,420 square foot home in Maryland for years, yet has simultaneously taken a homeowner's tax exemption on his much smaller 650 square foot condo in Burbank, California, designating it as his primary residence. This maneuver resulted in a $7,000 alleged reduction in property taxes for the congressman. Deed records reveal that Schiff designated his Maryland property as his primary residence in 2003 when he purchased it for $870,000. 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, Schiff refinanced his mortgage and consistently indicated the Maryland property as his primary residence. Los Angeles County deed records for Schiff's Burbank condo, purchased in 2009 for $298,000, raised his eyebrows as they were notarized in Maryland. Only one home can be considered their primary residence, and for lawmakers, that residence must be in the district they represent. The complaint has been submitted to multiple U.S. House agencies and to the House Judiciary, House Ethics, and House Oversight Committee. Adam Schiff bought a place in Maryland, listing it as his personal residence. He has a condo in Burbank, which he claims as his principal residence as well. He's also being accused of committing voter fraud in California because throughout 2006 and 2009, his voter registration documents list his residence in Burbank. So why is he not in jail yet? You read about the numerous crimes these people have done, yet justice has not been served. So what are you waiting for? You and I would have been thrown in and the key tossed. Apparently many are above the law, including Adam Schiff. That post was by Mike Netter. He is breaking the news. We have some more, but of course we would all love to see this picture. Adam Schiff in an orange jumpsuit going straight to his new residence in Alcatraz. Yes, a lot of people reacting to the news. It'll be amazing when Adam Schiff is locked up in Alcatraz, where he will be traded for cigarettes on a regular basis. Who's in favor of sending pencil neck Adam Schiff to Alcatraz? Would you like to see that happen? Drop a comment and let me know right away. Adam Schiff should be given the Al Capone suite, says H. Powers. Yes, you have heard the news. Alcatraz is going to be reopened. We'll have more on that later. But I would love to see him list this as his primary residence, right? We're going to continue because we got some more on Adam Schiff here. This is from James O'Keefe. This was posted just about 48 hours ago by Real Robert, and here it is in black and white. Adam Schiff also conspired with the CIA director John Brennan to overthrow the United States government in 2016. And then right out of a small room in Langley, covertly conspired with CIA Director Mike Pompeo to overthrow the sitting president of the United States in 2017, and conspired with CIA Director Gina Haspel and U.S. OCCRP and USAID to topple the U.S. government in 2019. Michael Schellenberger says it's a crazy story. The House of Representatives impeached President Trump in December of 2019. Many people may not remember that it was a CIA analyst who was left over from the Obama White House who wrote the memo that led to the impeachment. It was all based on hearsay. The person had not actually been in the room with Trump. Nonetheless, the memo that he wrote relied heavily on a report done by an organization funded by USAID. And of course, you and I all know what USAID is really up to these days, thanks to the work of DOGE. They continue that, in fact, its initial founding funding, now in tens of millions of dollars, had gone into this group called the Organizational Crime and Corrupt Reporting Project, a name that's not very memorable, OCCRP. It was basically created as an extension of the State Department and then of USAID. In other words, the CIA attempted to overthrow the U.S. government in 2016, attempted to overthrow the sitting president in 2019, and succeeded in 2020, all funded by USAID through the extortion of the American taxpayer. Now let's listen to what James O'Keefe is talking about here.
The first of the intelligence community's surveillance targets appeared to be a former Defense Intelligence Agency, that's DIA head, and would-be Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Another target was staffer George Papadopoulos. In 2018, HPSCI, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, released a 243-page report clearing Trump of allegations that he and his team colluded with Russia to interfere with the 2016 election. However, sources close to the House Permanent Select Committee, led by Adam Schiff, covertly continued working out of a small room in Langley, and he had access to raw logs and communications from agencies like the CIA and the National Security Council. The first of the intelligence community's surveillance in December
And then we have this.
You have this new piece on Substack that the USAID and the CIA...
So here's Jesse Waters with Michael Schellenberger.
You have this new piece on Substack that the USAID and the CIA helped orchestrate Trump's impeachment?
Yeah, I mean, Jesse, it's a crazy story. I mean, you might forget that, the House of Representatives impeached President Trump in December of 2019. Many people may not remember that it was a CIA analyst who was left over from the Obama White House who wrote the memo that led to the impeachment. It was all based on hearsay. The person had not actually been in the room with Trump. Nonetheless, this memo that he wrote relied heavily on a report done by an organization funded by USAID. In fact, its initial founding funding, I mean, now it's tens of millions of dollars, had gone into this group called the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, a name that's not very memorable, OCCRP, but it was basically created as an extension of the State Department and then of USAID. And as you know, Jesse, this is very serious to be involved in an effort to do regime change at home, as we've been discovering as the files have come out with what Elon Musk has been doing. We know that USAID was really about regime change abroad. It was a kind of public-facing part, regime change operation like CIA, but not covert, more overt. Well, now you see a similar blowback, just like they did censorship abroad and brought censorship tools back home. They were doing this sort of thing abroad, creating a predicate essentially for Trump's impeachment. So I think it's just one of many revelations that we'll see coming out in the next few weeks.
So USAID was involved in regime change abroad and here at home. Very interesting. If you want to read more about what Mike's talking about, go to his Substack after the show. Don't go right now. Go after the show. Thanks, Mike.
That's groundbreaking information that is now coming to light. Here we have more bank records, voter registration records, and a whistleblower confirming beyond a shadow of a doubt Adam Schiff is guilty of perjury, voter fraud, and mortgage fraud, violating both state and federal law. Here are the documents. See if we can get them a little larger for you to see here. Here is the timeline being presented. It's kind of hard to see. Adam Schiff, 1998. You can see the whole timeline broken down here. Deed of trust rider. Charges include interfering with law enforcement by providing false information, a felony, voting without being qualified, a felony, unlawful advance voting, felony, failing to notify DMV of address change is a misdemeanor. These are some of the charges that are being levied here. Let's take a listen to Chanel Rion break some of this down too.
Especially if they represent one such bog dweller, it should come as no surprise to anyone, is chief Trump-hating, failed Hollywood scriptwriter, California Representative Adam Schiff. Veteran investigators Christine Bish and John Stubbins filed an ethics complaint last week alleging that Adam Schiff committed fraud and perjury by declaring both his homes in California and Maryland as his primary residence, thereby violating state and federal laws, so they say. Now, many lawmakers keep a place in Washington, especially if they represent a state from far away, like Schiff does. But only one of their homes can be considered their primary residence. And if you're a lawmaker, your primary residence must technically be in the district you represent. Makes sense. But if you keep two primary residences, you are able to manipulate the system, get lower mortgage rates. And this is exactly what Bish and Stubbins allege. This story emerges as Schiff runs for the U.S. Senate against a backdrop where California homelessness has hit record highs and cost of living has driven Californians out. The ethics complaint lists apparent discrepancies in Schiff's voting record, where Schiff claims both homes in Maryland and California as primary residences between 2002, and 2013. The hypocrisy is glaring. Just this year, Adam Schiff's Democrats pushed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. off the ballot in New York over his debates about his various residencies. Would they dare hold these same standards up to Adam Schiff? Joining us now to discuss the exclusive details is...
So now we have some serious ethics complaints against Adam Schiff. Here's Kash Patel, before he was the FBI director, talking about pencil neck Adam Schiff.
The prosecutor, Adam Schiff, is the worst criminal in Congress in the last 250 years. Adam Schiff went to the podium day after day after day saying, I know nothing about this. We're not going to discuss it. We're going to protect it. And then Adam Schiff, led the prosecution of the impeachment trial in the Senate of President Donald Trump. Talk about someone who was conflicted out of the game because he was part of the hoax that brought Charmella in, manufactured that false accusation, and then peddled it out to the world, and he continued, not surprising, he's lied about almost everything in his life. But now he lied just to set up a presidential impeachment. And that's what I was talking about, these disinformation campaigns. He should be investigated because he lied to the world about his interactions with Charmella, who is a whistleblower, and I can't stress it enough, that started a presidential impeachment. Adam Schiff
Well, you're the FBI director now. You know what to do, sir. Here is Lauren Boebert going nuclear on Adam Schiff.
Indecency. Adam Schiff is a complete disgrace to our nation and to our Constitution. He represents the worst of permanent Washington, using his position of trust to lie to the American people. Schiff's disgraceful time in Congress has destroyed Americans' faith in our institutions. When Adam Schiff got caught lying, he did what all liars do and tried to cover the truth even more. If Adam Schiff has a shred of human decency left, he would resign from Congress in disgrace. His tombstone should read of his failed career in Congress and should be one word. Adam Schiff is a complete...
What is the one word? Lauren Boebert going nuclear on Adam Schiff. So this is huge developing news. Federal violations, state violations, and this could be the end for Adam Schiff. I can only hope and pray, but he does have zero decency. And speaking of zero decency, we got some folks from the squad making headlines. We played this the other day, but it just shows you the level of garbage that is polluting our Congress. Ilhan Omar telling a Daily Caller reporter to F off.
Congresswoman Omar, I'm Miles Morrell with the Daily Caller News Foundation. Do you think more of your Democratic colleagues should be traveling to El Salvador to advocate on behalf of Rodrigo Garcia?
I think you should fuck off. Yeah, that's
I'm sorry, what, Congresswoman?
Fuck off.
Who should?
You.
Why me?
We're not taking any questions right now, but here you go.
Yeah, thanks. Congresswoman.
Yeah, absolute garbage. Here we have more. Speaking of Ilhan Omar and garbage, Marjorie Taylor Greene says Ilhan Omar is a foreign agent and acting on behalf of Somalia and not her constituents, which is treason. She's calling on Omar to be censured and removed from the Budget Committee. Listen.
Ilhan Omar follows.
Recognized.
Censuring Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota. Whereas elected members of Congress take an oath to bear true faith and allegiance to the United States without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. Whereas Representative Ilhan Omar took an oath of allegiance to the United States upon becoming a citizen, declaring, I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen. Whereas on January 27, 2024, Representative Omar gave remarks at an event in Minneapolis in which she made treasonous statements, Whereas Representative Omar said she has spoken to many Somalians who asked her to intercede for the Somali government by pressuring the United States government into certain actions. Whereas Representative Omar assured the Somalians she spoke to, the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders, and that is how we will safeguard the interest of Somalia. Whereas Representative Omar continued, for as long as I am in U.S. Congress, Somalia will never be in danger. Its waters will not be stolen by Ethiopia or others. Sleep in comfort knowing I am here to protect the interest of Somalia from inside the U.S. system. Whereas George Washington warned in his farewell address of 1796 to guard against the impostures of pretended patriotism, and further declared citizens by birth or choice of a common country, that country has a right to concentrate your affections. The name of American, which belongs to you in your national capacity, must always exalt the just pride of patriotism more than any appellation derived from local discriminations. Whereas these statements by Representative Omar clearly violate the oath she took as an elected member of Congress to defend and protect the United States Constitution. Whereas Representative Omar has exhibited the treasonous tendencies George Washington warned about. And her actions must be condemned by all members of Congress who adhere to the oath they took upon assuming office. And whereas by openly admitting her efforts to advance Somalia's interest using her position as a United States representative, Representative Omar has revealed herself to be a foreign agent acting on behalf of a foreign government. Now, therefore be it resolved that Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota be censured. Representative Ilhan Omar forthwith present herself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. Representative Ilhan Omar be censured with the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker, and Representative Ilhan Omar be and is hereby removed from the Committee of Budget and the Committee on Education and the Workforce. Follows.
I can get behind that, especially after this garbage, too.
Congresswoman Omar, I'm Miles Morrell with the Daily Caller News Foundation. Do you think more of your Democratic colleagues should be traveling to El Salvador to advocate on behalf of Federico Garcia?
I think you should fuck off.
Yeah, total trash. 48 hours ago, Representative Ilhan Omar, 2018, and Wokeness posting this: our country should be more fearful of white men because they cause the most deaths.
The deaths. I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. I would say.
And here's Ilhan Omar with her white husband, boyfriend. I'm not sure who she's married to now. I know she was married to her brother at one point. That's another reason. 48 hours ago, Laura Loomer, AOC, and Bernie Sanders have spent over $250,000 on private jets during their so-called fighting oligarchy tour, according to recent FCC filings. While claiming to fight billionaires and pushing the Green New Deal, they're flying private like the globalist elite that they are. Let's just listen in for a minute.
Reveals significant exclusive. AOC and Bernie Sanders have spent nearly $250,000 on private jets during their fighting oligarchy tour, despite touting Green New Deal policies. You can scroll down and we're going to take a look at these FEC reports. Recent Federal Election Commission filings reveal significant expenditures by Representative AOC and Senator Bernie Sanders for their joint fighting oligarchy tour, which began on February 21st, 2025. The tour, aimed at rallying opposition to the Trump administration, has drawn scrutiny for its substantial costs and hypocritical messaging, particularly regarding the Marxist duo's use of private jets for travel and AOC's use of over $700,000 in grassroots donations for paid voter outreach services, despite her claims that her crowds are organic. So you see that AOC and Bernie Sanders are going around. She just took a shot at Donald Trump last night. If you look at her Twitter account, she said, "Oh, you can tell he's nervous," right? Trying to make a reference to President Trump attacking him, making it sound like, it's getting in his head that AOC and Bernie Sanders are having these rallies across the country.
Trump could care less, really. He's not running again, so he has nothing to fear. Here we have more from Media Lies. This is a prime example of delusional thinking. Reverend Al Sharpton calls Democrat Socialist AOC authentic, articulate, and effective. Wow.
She's one of the Rev. Nobody ever said that Congress was a meritocracy. I understand.
Dude, what happened to Sharpton? My goodness, he looks like the skin suit he is, just slipping off his body. Oh my goodness.
That AOC may be more progressive than a lot of people.
Dude, that's the guy's got to lay off the Ozempic for real.
I also understand that she's one of the most articulate, exciting people in the Democratic field. She goes out with Bernie Sanders, and yeah, she just draws so many people. Very good, very effective in hearings. We've seen a lot of people. Nancy Pelosi was a progressive. When Nancy became leader, she realized she needed to represent the entire caucus. AOC certainly could do that as well. After the election, she was going around talking to people who voted for her and Donald Trump, saying, "I wanted understand why did you do that? What don't I understand?" Listen, Democrats, and we're going to talk to Dave Weigel about this in a second, their approval rating is just absolutely disastrous. They don't need to keep getting people in retirement, past retirement age, being their voice. They need somebody young like AOC. And again, it's not about ideology. She can carry the message forward for a Democratic Party that really needs to reach out to younger Americans.
They need to reach out to younger Americans, and they need to reach out in an authentic way. I think that what makes AOC effective is not only that she's younger, but that she comes off authentic without saying, "I'm trying to kick the older crowd aside," because it was very important. She did that tour with 83-year-old Bernie Sanders, while some of the younger members of Congress saying the old guard needs to retire. She's showing a balance and a maturity as a young person and a message that penetrates.
And by the way, what a great...
Whatever. Joe Scarborough, you guys can fawn over AOC all you want, but we know the members of the squad, their days are numbered, as are, we can hope and pray, Adam Schiff's. So what we've uncovered about Adam Schiff's property scandal, it's not about just real estate, it's about the arrogance of power. A man who lectured America about integrity allegedly couldn't even be honest about where he lives. So the question every American should be asking is this: if Schiff would allegedly lie about something as basic as his residence, what else has he lied about? I'm sure the list is long. But how deep does the deception go? And should he have his new residency in Alcatraz? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And speaking of standing up against corruption, gear up with official Next News Network merchandise at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. It's linked down below this video. Wow, I really hope that we can get some movement, but I don't have any faith that, an ethics complaint, you got federal charges. I don't have much faith that anything's going to happen. I hate to be cynical about it, but I know you guys feel the same way. Let's see. Automation D&D dropping $5 in the Alex Jones was right jar. Alex was right. Filled with moonshine. Yeah, this looks like a moonshine jar, right? No, it's going to be filled with all of your super chats soon enough. Okay, what else have we got here from McLovin? No, actually, McElvin22 dropping $1 in the jar. Thank you so much. And Sam Anona Anomas. Alex Jones was right jar filled with cannabis. Okay. All right, $2, thank you. And Patricia Berry has just become a member. We're now up to $43 in super chats, almost at 50. We're $77 away from $50. Are we going to hit 50 tonight? I hope so. Then I won't be sleeping on the couch. Okay, let's keep going. We got some more news to get into. We're moving right along into our fourth topic of the evening. Gain of Fauci. Oh, yes, gain of Fauci. Okay. Looking for, there it is. There's my thread. I posted a thread on X late last night. Maybe you saw it. Breaking down this new executive order the White House Donald Trump just signed. Amazing stuff, finally getting somewhere. For years, they called it a conspiracy theory. Anyone questioning certain lab practices was silenced, censored, shamed, and ridiculed. But something just landed on President Trump's desk that's about to change everything we thought we knew about the pandemic's origins. The document we've obtained doesn't just confirm suspicions, it reveals a web of deception that goes far deeper than anyone imagined. By the end of this report, you'll understand why certain government officials are lawyering up and why one particular doctor's hands are shaking during his last congressional testimony. And just as President Trump is fighting to restore strength to American men by banning dangerous lab experiments, Test Boost Max is fighting to restore men's natural vitality. In an era where traditional masculinity is under attack, this breakthrough formula helps reclaim your body's power. While Dr. Fauci's experiments weakened America, Test Boost Max, 8 powerful natural ingredients help strengthen American men. Join the revolution against weakness. Visit buildwithgary.com. You'll find it linked down below this video. Just tap more and receive a free bottle with your first order. Stand strong against the forces that are trying to diminish American manhood. Now, this just in from the White House, President Trump signing an executive order to end all present and future federal funding for dangerous gain-of-function research in countries of concern, while enhancing the safety and security of U.S. biological research without hindering innovation. I have a post up on X. It's quite a lengthy thread. Dissected the whole thing last night. I'm going to get into that in a moment. But let's go to the moment in the Oval Office where RFK was there during the signing of this executive order.
Mr. President, a gain-of-function, this is an historic day, the end of gain-of-function research funding by the federal government and also controls by private corporations on gain-of-function studies. This was the kind of study that was engaged in by the United States military and intelligence agencies beginning in 1947. By 1969, the CIA said that they had reached nuclear equivalency, that they could kill the entire U.S. population for 29 cents a person. That year, President Nixon went to Fort Detrick and announced a unilateral end to this kind of research, what they call dual-use research, research that was for vaccination and also for military purposes. He then persuaded over 180 countries to sign the Bioweapons Charter in 1973. That basically ended gain-of-function research around the globe until 2002. Until 2001, after the anthrax attacks, we passed the Patriot Act, and the Patriot Act had a provision, a little-known provision in it, that said that although the Bioweapons Charter is still in effect, and the Geneva Convention is still in effect, U.S. federal officials who violate it cannot be prosecuted. And that relaunched a bioweapons arms race, and that was driven by gain-of-function research. In 2014, 3 of those bugs escaped from U.S. labs, and President Obama declared a moratorium on future use, and instead a lot of that research was moved offshore to the Wuhan lab. and it launched bioweapons arms race all around the country, all around the world, so that China's engaged in it, developing all kinds of weapons using AI and CRISPR technologies that are really devastating. Russia is deeply engaged in it, Iran and many other countries. It's a kind of weapon that always has blowback. There's always bad news. And the justification for this kind of weaponry was, and these kind of research, was always that we have to do this, develop vaccines to counter a future pandemic. In all of the history of gain-of-function research, we can't point to a single good thing that's come from it. And today, I commend President Trump for his courage and his vision in ending U.S. bioweapons research.
Yeah, well, here he is, RFK Jr. on Fox talking about Anthony Fauci. Here's some more.
1947, as you pointed out, gain-of-function studies, the kind of science that is designed to make microbes and pathogens more virulent, more transmissible, and more deadly. It was in this country, they started doing it in 1947, the military and the intelligence agencies, in order to develop bioweapons. In 1969, President Nixon banned it all, shut down Fort Detrick, shut down all the labs. That ban, and then signed the Bioweapons Convention. That ban lasted till 2001. And after the anthrax attacks, Anthony Fauci essentially restarted the arms race and the bioweapons arms race, and did it under the pretension of developing vaccines because of the same science that you develop bioweapons and vaccines. In 2014, 3 of his bugs escaped, and 300 scientists wrote letters to President Obama asking him to shut down Anthony Fauci. President Obama declared a moratorium, but instead of shutting down his experiments, he moved them offshore, mainly to the Wuhan lab. And now, the principal institutions of our government, the CIA, the FBI, the State Department, Department of Energy, all say that it is most likely that those experiments resulted in the COVID-19 pandemic beginning in 2019. So President Trump today moved to shut down this kind of research in this country and to stop funding it abroad. As you point,
here's more from Secretary Kennedy.
Biden administration, first of all, we're cutting his waste, fraud, and abuse. We're streamlining an agency that grew by 38% in the 4 years that President Biden was in the White House, and we're dialing it back to the pre-Biden administration. And the agency was not doing what it was supposed to be doing, which is preventing disease, chronic disease, particularly in Americans. Americans during that period got sicker and sicker and sicker. Oh, and the agency is bloated. When I got there were 100 communications departments. There were 40 procurement departments, 40 IT departments, 40 HR departments. And we streamlined the agency. We got rid of the redundancy, and that's how we save that money. We're not getting rid of any critical research, and we're not getting rid of any of the programs that are critical to Americans' health care. First of all, what we're cutting is waste.
Continuing on with this executive order, Clandestine writes, hey, Joe Biden and Democrats, why did you pardon Fauci and Hunter for all crimes they may have committed beginning January 1st, 2014. Coincidentally, the same year Hunter got USAID contracts to begin gain-of-function research in Ukraine, asking for 8 billion friends. Anthony Fauci getting pardoned by Joe Biden. Not a single thing good has come from the research. Here we have the most significant function that was gained. Anthony Fauci's fortune doubled to $15 million between early 2019 and 2023, according to a watchdog, during the worst of the COVID lockdowns. Oh, and who can ever forget what they did? What they did worldwide. This video has been circulating recently in light of this news. Rare footage of French politicians putting on masks right before starting a PR stunt. How easy is it to fool people?
Mettez les masques. Mettez les masques. Mettez les masques. Il y a des partout. Voilà.
Bien. On peut y aller? Tout le monde est prêt? Bien, mesdames et messieurs, le résultat de ce second tour a démenti tous les sondages et d'où jouer tous les pronostics. Ce soir, j'ai gagné et nous
We will never forget what they did to us. Let's keep going. Here is more from Secretary Kennedy.
We're going to take a wild virus and we're going to make it more pathogenic, more virulent, more deadly. And then we're going to develop a vaccine for that. And that's classic gain-of-function research. Why are they doing that? You know, why? What is the rationale for them doing that? The only real rationale, if you think about it, is to develop bioweapons and then develop a defense to those bioweapons. So that's what they were doing. And Anthony Fauci was given a 68% raise by the military because of these new military responsibilities.
He made a lot of money. Here is Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, his speech on the end of federal funding for gain-of-function research.
On humans, this is a historic day. The conduct of this dangerous gain-of-function research, which aims at taking pathogens and making them more virulent, more transmissible in humans, many scientists believe is responsible for the COVID pandemic. The conduct of this research does not protect us against pandemics, as some people might say. It doesn't protect us against other nations. What it does is there's always a danger that in doing this research, it might leak out just by accident even, and cause a pandemic. Any nation that engages in this research endangers their own population as well as the world, as we saw during the COVID pandemic. This proclamation makes it so that most science is actually poses no threat. The vast majority of science will go on under this as normal. But the fraction of this research that has the risk of causing a pandemic, harming every single person on the face of the earth, we're going to put it, this proclamation, this executive order puts in place a framework to make sure that the public has a say, that if such a risk is being taken, that only scientists alone won't be able to decide that. That in fact the public can say, no, don't take this risk. And I'm really, really proud to be here with President Trump, who's signed this order, ending this research, for the first time putting in place a real regulatory framework to make it go away forever.
So it can leak out like from Wuhan, and a lot of people think that. I think I said that right from day one. It leaked out whether it was to the girlfriend or somebody else, but scientists walked outside to have lunch with a girlfriend or was together with a lot of people, but that's how it leaked out, in my opinion, and I've never changed that opinion. So it can leak out innocently, stupidly, incompetently, but innocently, and half destroy the world, right?
That's right. That's right, Mr. President. It's
Mr. President, there are, I think,
and some people believe it was done intentionally, not by mistake. Okay, so we've got this thread here. I want to bring this up to you guys. Well, check this out. This is when Fauci was literally shaking. Well, he lied to Congress about funding gain-of-function research in Wuhan when he's being grilled by Senator Rand Paul. Look at his hand. Watch his hand here.
The truth. What we're alleging is that gain-of-function research was going on in that lab, and NIH funded it. That is not. You can't get away from it. It meets your definition, and you are obfuscating the truth. I'm not obfuscating the truth. You are the one. I'm not obfuscating the truth. You are the one. I'm not obfuscating the truth. You are the one. What we're alleging is that gain-of-function research.
Yeah, he knows his goose is cooked. Before we get to the deep dive into the executive order, here is Megyn Kelly discussing the gain-of-function research.
This COVID. But let me ask you specifically, because we already know that EcoHealth Alliance was partnering with this Wuhan lab to do gain-of-function research. That's right. We just have never been able to have somebody say, it was that exact experiment that led to this COVID bug. But have we gotten there? What's the new thing that you're digging in on?
We are working on that with Jay Bhattacharya and look forward to being able to share that hopefully very soon.
Okay.
That specific
link,
correct, between the gain of function research and what we saw with COVID-19.
I mean, that would be extraordinary because just so the audience knows, if that's true, if it was Peter Daszak's research with the Wuhan so-called bat lady that caused this pandemic, then we did fund it. Then Anthony Fauci helped fund the pandemic.
The thing that he denied over and over and over to Senator Rand Paul's questioning.
That's right.
And that's why he received a pardon from Joe Biden. Tulsi Gabbard is digging into it. But, I mean, there's got to be another way to prosecute this guy. I mean, the blood is on his hands worldwide. Representative James Comer, 24 hours ago, every American should be outraged that their tax dollars are used by mad scientists to engineer more deadly and transmissible coronaviruses. The Biden administration and Dr. Fauci allowed your money to fund risky and secretive gain-of-function research. He applauds President Trump for banning taxpayer-funded gain-of-function research. The American people ultimately deserve science that protects them, not taxpayer-funded experiments that put lives at risk. He was quote tweeting the New York Post that was announcing the executive order. Oh, who remembers this picture? Dr. Anthony Fauci, maskless at a baseball game. Or this picture, Nancy Pelosi, when she shut down all the salons and businesses in San Francisco, but no, she was able to go get her hair did, right? So let's keep going here. Let's see. This was 11 hours ago. So we've gone from Trump doesn't know where COVID came from and it's racist for calling it the China virus to yes, the virus was from Tony Fauci funded gain-of-function lab in Wuhan. Remember this?
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate. It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China. Racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China. No, not at all. It comes from China.
I will never forget that moment either. China. Comes from China. Okay, let's dig deeper now into this executive order. Okay, let's see. Here it is. The crackdown begins. President Trump signing a historic executive order in the Oval Office, sending shockwaves through the biotech industry and bureaucrats who profited from dangerous virus experiments. We are breaking it all down. So the order begins slamming the brakes on dangerous gain-of-function research, the kind of reckless lab work that can supercharge viruses and unleash pandemics. It is no longer business as usual. The free ride is over. Dangerous gain-of-function research on biological agents and pathogens has the potential to significantly endanger the lives of American citizens. It's over. And so is Biden's legacy. Trump just shut down reckless virus experiments funded by U.S. taxpayers, especially in hostile nations like China. Biden let it happen. Trump is ending it cold, and the swamp is screening. Effective immediately, China getting cut off. The EO ends all federal funding for dangerous gain-of-function research in foreign countries of concern, specifically calling out China. No more U.S. dollars fueling foreign biolabs. You can see right here on the left side of that screen, China is specifically highlighted and targeted. Stopping bioweapons abroad, not just gain of function. Trump's order halts funding for any life science research overseas that lacks proper U.S. oversight and poses a threat to public health or national security. It is a total shutdown. Yes, shut it down now. Trump's team is not waiting around. His EO demands the immediate suspension of dangerous gain-of-function research until strict new safety rules are in place. No delays, no loopholes, and no excuses. And the rules are coming fast. The EO gives 120 days to rewrite the government's entire oversight policy on high-risk biological research. More transparency, stronger enforcement, and tighter definitions. Bureaucrats are now on the clock, 120 days. Now there's enforcement. Trump's new policy will not be toothless. Federal grants will now include enforcement clauses, audits, penalties, and funding shutdowns if rules are broken. Play stupid games, lose federal money. And the labs are also under the microscope. The EO targets synthetic DNA screening. Every provider will be forced to verify and track nucleic acid orders. No more backdoor biotech for terrorists or rogue states. No Fed funding, no escape. You think private labs are off the hook? Think again. Trump's EO develops a nationwide strategy to track non-federally funded dangerous research. No funding, doesn't matter. You're still being watched. Bio research now going public. For the first time, institutions must report their dangerous gain-of-function work, even if privately funded, and it will be available for the public to see. No more secrets, no more hiding behind grants. And the funding comes with strings. Trump's order rewrites every future research contract. If you want government money, you must certify full compliance or lose it all. That includes foreign labs, universities, and even big pharma. And no dirty deals overseas. Grant recipients must now swear they're not funding risky foreign bio research that threatens national security. If they lie, they lose everything. This closes the loophole that Biden left wide open. Guilty by association. If a single researcher violates Trump's order, the entire institution can be punished. No more hiding behind layers of bureaucracy. The hammer comes down on everyone involved. And if you break the rules under Trump's new order, and your lab could be cut off from federal funding for 5 years. That's a death sentence for most institutions. The era of accountability has finally arrived. Now, what is dangerous? Trump defines it clearly as any research that makes a virus deadlier, more contagious, harder to treat, or revives eradicated diseases is considered dangerous gain of function, so there's no gray area. So the next time Dr. Fauci is dragged before Congress, he can't try to twist the words like he did with Rand Paul so many times. No more Frankenviruses, enhancing a virus's ability to evade vaccines, resist treatment, or infect new hosts. That's banned under Trump's EO. This shutdowns the exact type of research that may have triggered COVID-19. And the pandemic playbook has been tossed. Trump rejecting the old trust the experts model. His EO installs top-down oversight and independent enforcement, removing control from career bureaucrats and placing it in accountable hands. Real oversight and no lip service. Trump's EO demands regular review every 4 years or sooner to ensure rules stay up to date. No more outdated frameworks sitting on dusty shelves while labs run wild. Suspensions go public. Under Trump's EO, any dangerous research that gets suspended or shut down must be reported and made public. No more quiet cover-ups. If your project gets axed, America will know why. And no more hiding behind science. Trump's order ends the era of unaccountable experts hiding risky experiments under layers of jargon. From now on, every project must prove it benefits Americans or it's defunded. And Congress is next. Trump is not stopping at executive power. His EO orders a legislative proposal to give the government full authority to shut down rogue biotech operations nationwide, and if gaps exist, they are getting closed. Follow the money. Trump's executive order makes compliance legally binding. If a lab breaks the rule, they're not just in violation, they could face fraud charges under federal law. Taxpayer dollars now come with iron chains. Now, on the record forever, Trump's EO is not just a press stunt. It orders the Department of Health and Human Services to fund its own publication in the Federal Register. This is permanent policy written, filed, and enforced. We are inside the room as credentialed White House press. We don't rely on secondhand spin. We get the facts firsthand, direct from the White House. Follow Next News Network for exclusive access, real-time Trump updates, and the stories the corporate media won't touch. There is yours truly in the White House. So the implications of this report and this executive order are clear. For years, unelected bureaucrats played God in government labs while putting millions of lives at risk. The same people who locked you down, masked your children, and destroyed small businesses were funding the very research that may have started it all. So here's what we need to ask ourselves. Who authorized these dangerous experiments? Where did the money really go? And most importantly, who profited from the pandemic? You saw that New York Post headline, right? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And make sure you check out the Next News Network merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. That is where true patriots gather to support real journalism and wear it proudly. Okay. So I'm excited about that. Are you guys excited? Are you guys just excited as I am? Because I am. Okay. Looks like we have Tom B420 dropping 5. Thanks, Gary, and 3 for life. After Hours Discord gang. And Villain dropping 20. Alex was right. Everyone should become a member and join us in Discord live after hours. Thanks, Gary, Angie, Todd, Brian, and the rest of the N3 family. Well, thank you for that 20. We're now at $68. Maybe we'll crack 100 tonight. That'd be sweet. Okay, let's get on to our next topic of the evening. Donald Trump crushing the fake news. I love it when he does this. The mainstream media thinks they can keep controlling the narrative. They believe that their wall of deception is impenetrable. But in the last 48 hours, something extraordinary happened that's causing panic in newsrooms across America. We've obtained footage that catches them in the act, not just spinning stories, but manufacturing them from whole cloth. What you're about to see isn't just about bias. It's about a coordinated campaign of deception that's finally being exposed, and the evidence is undeniable, and the reaction is telling. Now, speaking of media pressure, how's your blood pressure holding up watching these fake news meltdowns? Like President Trump's takedown of corrupt media narratives, our partners at Boost with Gary, they offer a natural solution to combat stress and maintain healthy blood pressure. Their breakthrough formula helps promote optimal cardiovascular function, while these media hacks promote fear and hysteria. Don't let fake news affect your health. Visit boostwithgary.com now and receive up to 40% off plus free shipping. Take control of your well-being while the mainstream media loses control of their narratives. Okay, Representative Escobar once again gets owned by Secretary Noem for pushing fake news. This happened just a few hours ago. Check this out.
Okay, perfect. I also wanted to ask you about this NBC News story, and I'll enter into the record this article as well. U.S. citizen family traumatized after ICE raided their Oklahoma home in search of someone else. And according to the local affiliate, KFOR, which was reporting on this story, immigration agents raided the home last week. They had a search warrant for the home, but the suspects listed on the warrant were no longer living in the home. The family was forced to wait outside in the rain during the search. A mother and her girls, all U.S. citizens, their money was taken, their laptop, their cell phone. I asked you at the top of our first round if you believed it was important for DHS and if you would attest to the fact that DHS needs to rectify any mistakes. If this were a mistake, will you ensure that this family, this U.S. citizen family, gets its property back in a timely manner?
Well, in that particular situation, the warrant for that situation was on the house and the facility, not on the individuals that were there. And so that house was being used for human smuggling. And so those operations were conducted against the facility. And even in that situation, there were some individuals there with the same last names and some of the similarities.
But if it were a mistake, Madam Secretary,
we believe everything was done appropriately, and we'll continue to make sure that it is done and handled appropriately.
All right. Well, appreciate you looking into it. That not my constituents, but okay, perfect.
Not my constituents, but why are you bringing it up? Here's President Trump nuking the Wall Street Journal on Air Force One. We published the full Air Force One gaggle on the YouTube channel. If you want to see it, just head over to the main channel page and you'll see it. It is absolutely explosive. It's about 12 minutes. It went viral on X as well. President Trump nuking the Wall Street Journal. Listen to this. This is beautiful.
I don't want to talk. Who are you with? That's fine. Well, you people treat us so bad. Wall Street Journal has truly gone to hell. Go ahead. It's a rotten newspaper. You hear me what I said? It's a rotten newspaper. Wall Street Journal because they'd be wasting my time. There are talks, but I don't want to talk to the Wall Street Journal. But look, Wall Street Journal is China-oriented, and they're really bad for this country. Go ahead.
Oh, man. Here's more. President Trump roasting the fake news for lying about Mike Waltz. This is brutal.
I didn't lose. He was fine, and where he is, he'll do a good job. I don't consider that. I didn't lose confidence in him. Why did I lose confidence? He's going to the United Nations. To me, I think it's personally, if I had to choose for myself of doing, I'd rather have that job than the other. He didn't resign. I just moved him. There's no resignation. You people are so bad. You're trying to make a big deal out of something. You are so bad. That's why nobody watches you anymore. Who are you with? Who are you with? You with who? First. I didn't know there was such a...
Who are you with? Who are you with? Never heard of you. Oh, man, here's more. Should lawful residents of this country start carrying paperwork with them when they leave their homes? Here's President Trump on Meet the Press.
Mr. President, should lawful residents of this country start carrying paperwork with them when they leave their homes?
I don't think that'll be necessary, but what you're not saying is that many people have been killed, maimed, badly hurt by illegal immigrants that came over that are from prisons and from jails and from mental institutions, and they're hurting our people. And if we don't get them out, we're not going to have a country for long. We need honest, we need honest media, and we need walls. We need to have borders. And by the way, I built a lot of walls, and if we didn't do that, we wouldn't be able to have those. You know, we would not be able to have the kind of numbers if I wasn't successful in building hundreds of miles of wall.
Now, listen to the question. And, of course, she's loading. She's loading this question like it's going to happen. But she also conveniently omits that this is the same network that was pushing that you need to have papers to prove your jab status, right? There was no problem with that, right? All the networks, every single network, wall to wall, you know, prove your jab status so you can go have Thanksgiving dinner, right? Crazy.
President, should lawful residents of this country start carrying paperwork with them when they leave their homes?
I don't think.
Yeah, unbelievable. But that's the fake news for you. Here's some more.
No.
Are you looking for a new Secretary of Defense? Mr.
No,
President?
not even a little bit. No. Pete's got.
See? Again, more loaded questions from the press. Here's more.
This is important, though. You're not taking the possibility that these tariffs could be permanent off the table. Some of them.
Oh, I wouldn't do that, because if somebody thought they were going to come off the table, why would they build in the United States?
Ask you about,
understand that, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, but that's why I'm asking, because there's a lot of, I think, uncertainty for CEOs, for business owners. They want to know, are these tariffs permanent?
I think there's only uncertainty in the fake news. I don't think there's uncertainty. I mean, I've been very rigid, very strong on it, but I will.
There's only uncertainty in the fake news. Rapid response stating this. Meet the fake press. Prices are already going up.
Down on
prices are already going up on some popular items. Tires, strollers.
This is such a dishonest interview already. Prices are down on groceries. Prices are down for oil. Prices are down for all energy. Prices are down at tremendous numbers for gasoline. And let me tell you, when you have the big thing, what he did, he spent like a stupid person, which he was, but he spent like a very stupid person. And that was bad for inflation. But what really killed us with inflation was the price of energy.
Prices are already going up on some popular items. Tires, strollers.
This is such a dishonest interview already.
But that's what the fake news does. They load it up. Keep going here. The media has been caught in another hoax against President Trump.
I do think the media is pulling another, dictator for a day hoax right now, because it's clear when Trump said, I don't know, what he meant was what he finished his sentence saying, which is, I don't know where the Supreme Court is going to come down on whether deporting these illegal migrants is constitutional or not. It's very obvious, yet every single headline...
You just called it a hoax, so let's just play. Can we play it again in the control room, what Trump said in response to Kristen Walker? We're getting it up right now.
Can I make
Don't
another
you need
clip?
to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know. I have to respond by saying again, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me, and they are going to obviously follow what the Supreme Court said.
What's wrong with that?
So the Supreme Court is going to decide what is constitutional and what is not, and Trump just committed 100% to following what the Supreme Court says. I want to make one more very quick point.
There's another clip. Do we have the other one where he talks about whether citizens deserve due process? If we do, let's play that one.
Your Secretary of State says everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process. Do you agree, Mr. President?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Well, the Fifth Amendment says...
I don't know. It seems it might say that, but if you're talking about that, then we'd have to have 1 million or 2 million or 3 million trials.
So can I respond to that?
Yeah.
So what does it mean for an illegal immigrant to have due process? We would all agree that they do not have the same level of due process that we do. For example, we are entitled to a jury trial, and they are entitled to a hearing before an immigration judge. Do you know who the immigration judges work for? They work for the executive branch. They work for
what?
Which means that they work
I think that actually
for Donald Trump.
You're actually making a great
of the due process that they get.
But Donald Trump.
Fake news narratives being ripped apart in real time. My favorite, though, was the Air Force One. I mean, look at him. He's just going to town right there. So what we've witnessed tonight isn't just about fact-checking. It's about the complete collapse of media credibility. Every time they try spinning their narratives, President Trump and his team expose their lies with brutal efficiency. So the question we should be asking is this. Why do these so-called journalists keep pushing easily disprovable stories? What's their real agenda? And who's really pulling their strings? Share your theories in the comments below. And while you're there, stop by shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. It's linked below this video. You can just tap more and you can access the link and get some official Next News Network gear. When you wear our brand, you are sending a clear message. You're done with fake news, done with manipulation, and ready for real journalism. Whoa, someone got busy here. Tom B420 gifted 5 Next News Network memberships. Sweet. Oh, wait, there was more, I think, too. Wyatt Earp gifting 5 as well. An Automation D&D dropped $5. He said, the left keeps calling the right dumb. All the hardcore tech nerds are on the right, myself included. Elon, etc. We knew the pandemic was wrong. Wyatt Earp gifted 5 memberships. And Cindy Bandreth appreciates the in-depth reporting. Thank you so much, Cindy, for dropping that $5 into the Alex Jones was right jar. Might be hard to see it because it's a clear jar with black text on it. I'm going to have to fill this up with some money. Well, that's what you guys do. That's your job. All right, let's keep going here. I think we got, okay, so Tom B420 gifting 5 memberships. Super cool. 13 new members. We're at $78 in chat revenue for the show tonight. Maybe we'll hit 100. I hope we do. Let's keep going with our coverage of Alcatraz. This is exciting stuff. We're seeing it happen now. President Trump. Okay. On a rocky island in San Francisco Bay sits a dormant symbol of American justice. For decades, tourists have wandered its empty halls, but something is about to change at Alcatraz that has the criminal underworld in absolute panic. What the Biden administration feared most is now becoming a reality, and the details of this plan are so bold, so unprecedented in modern times that even hardened criminals are reportedly seeking plea deals to avoid what's coming. By the end of this report, you'll understand why the left is melting down about this return to real justice. And while President Donald Trump works to secure dangerous criminals in Alcatraz, our partners at Don't Waste Power are helping secure your home's energy independence, just as these hardened criminals waste taxpayer resources, inefficient power systems, waste your hard-earned money. This revolutionary device helps stabilize your electrical current, potentially saving you thousands annually. Don't let the power companies treat you like a prisoner of their high rates. Visit don'twastepower.com and secure 65% off plus fast U.S. shipping. Take control of your energy costs while we take control of our nation's security. Here is President Trump outside of Marine One when he was asked about his idea to reopen Alcatraz. Mischief jokes, wouldn't that be a good home for Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, and these radicalized judges?
Where did you get the idea for reopening Alcatraz? It's an idea I've had, and I guess because the judges, so many of these radicalized judges, they want to have trials for every single, think of it, every single person that's in our country illegally, that came in illegally, that would mean millions of trials, and it's just so ridiculous what's happening. And it's long been a symbol, Alcatraz, of whatever it is. I mean, it's a sad symbol, but it's a symbol of law and order. And, it's got quite a history, frankly. So I think we're going to do that, and we're looking at it right now.
Looking at reopening Alcatraz, we got some media reaction, but first I want to get some more from the president in the Oval Office when he was asked about his decision to reopen Alcatraz about 24 hours ago.
The idea
Well, I guess
decide to reopen Alcatraz. Can you walk us through that decision?
Did I say what?
To reopen Alcatraz, how will you use it? How did you come up with the idea?
Well, I guess I was supposed to be a movie maker. We started with the movie making and we'll end. I mean, it represents something very strong, very powerful in terms of law and order. Our country needs law and order. Alcatraz is, I would say, the ultimate, right? Alcatraz, Sing Sing and Alcatraz, the movies. But it's right now a museum, believe it or not. A lot of people go there. It housed the most violent criminals in the world, and nobody ever escaped. One person almost got there, but they, as you know the story, they found his clothing rather badly ripped up. And it was a lot of shark bites, a lot of problems. Nobody's ever escaped from Alcatraz, and just represented something strong having to do with law and order. We need law and order in this country, and so we're going to look at it. Some of the people up here are going to be working very hard on that, and we had a little conversation. I think it's going to be very interesting. We'll see if we can bring it back in large form, add a lot. But I think it represents something. Right now, it's a big hulk that's sitting there rusting and rotting. You look at it, it's sort of, you saw that picture that was put out, it's sort of amazing. But it sort of represents something that's both horrible and beautiful and strong and miserable, weak. It's got a lot of qualities that are interesting, and I think they make a point. Okay.
Decide to.
Yeah, I think we should make that Nancy Pelosi's new home. Let's check in with some of the media reaction. Why Democrats are opposing the plan to reopen Alcatraz.
Frigid. Progressives frown on prisons. They tend to favor nanny daycare for hardened criminals. And Alcatraz, pretty forbidding, frigid place, housed Al Capone, Machine Gun Kelly, Mickey Cohen. It is, however, federal property, so this can be done, but it'd have to be rebuilt almost entirely. It's so outdated and crumbling. And here's the important part. It has landmark status, so there would be an avalanche of lawsuits that would probably tie it up for years. Don't forget, this is California. They care more about protecting the tiny smelt than building water systems to save lives and livelihoods, as we saw in the LA fires.
Here's more on Alcatraz.
This is what the American people voted for, Lawrence. They're tired of thugs and gangs roaming rampant in our cities, on our city streets. They're tired of murderers and terrorists coming across our border. And sometimes we forget why we have a federal government. The states came together to provide for the common defense of the American people. That's why we have a federal government. And I think President Trump realizes that his most important responsibility under the Constitution as Commander-in-Chief is to keep the American people safe. And that's what he's trying to do, get the worst of the worst as far away as he can from the American people who they would harm. This is what the American people voted for, Lawrence. They're
We
tired
certainly
of
did vote for it. What are they saying at The View? They demand Trump be jailed to prove a point, and they want Alcatraz to reopen just for him. Unreal.
If he is convicted, he should be held in contempt and put in, he's already been held in contempt, but put in jail for it. But I do think that 71% of Americans have said that he should be put in jail if he is convicted. The other thing I will say, we all saw, many of us are old enough to have seen the OJ case.
Yeah.
I remember how Judge Ito lost complete control of the courtroom, and I think that had a lot to do with the win. You cannot let Donald Trump be a runaway train in that courtroom.
No.
It's not his courtroom. It's the judge's courtroom. And so I think to make a point, to prove a point, put him in the clink. Oh, why not? Put him in the clink over there.
I don't want this to sound like I'm doing wishful thinking.
Yes.
But which prison would be best?
I know which one.
I'm going to give you, Michael. Well, that's what I got. Number one is Rikers. But, you know, I'm okay if he goes to Alcatraz and they reopen it. Maybe. You know, what about Guantanamo Bay? Okay?
Yeah, well, that'd be close to Mar-a-Lago. Melania can come and visit.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the clucks on The View freaking out. Attorney General Pam Bondi wants to send violent illegal aliens to Alcatraz.
In the middle of the president suggested over the weekend maybe rebuild and reopen Alcatraz, put him there in the middle of the Pacific Ocean someplace.
I'm all for that. All for that, and I think it will be a cost savings. We'll have specially trained guards. They'll be in isolation. They won't be able to run their businesses, and it sends a very strong message that if you do this, you are going to be out of our society forever. Had these guys been housed at Alcatraz, this would have never, ever happened. They're drug dealers, they're the worst of the worst, and they're killers.
The Trump administration seeking to use Guantanamo Bay, Rikers, and Alcatraz to hold criminal illegals.
1,200. Can we ask you, Tricia, how many illegal migrants are in Guantanamo Bay right now?
There's a couple of hundred. We continue to move these folks out and get them to their country of origin or a third country that agrees to accept them, because these are hardened criminals.
Rikers Island is similar to Alcatraz in the sense that it's an island surrounded by water. I think the comparisons stop after that, but there's a plan to close Rikers here in New York. Would this administration take action on Rikers?
I think everything's on the table. I'm not going to get ahead of Secretary Noem or President Trump, but this administration is one of law and order, and we are getting these criminal illegal aliens off of our streets. We get reports that come in every single day to see who was picked up. We have child molesters, rapists, murderers, arsonists, you name it. There are people who have been in this country for far too long, committing crimes and terrorizing our communities, and we will get them out, whether it be Rikers Island, Alcatraz, Guantanamo Bay, or another detention facility. These people will not be on our street under President Trump and Secretary Noem.
All right, Tricia McLaughlin, thanks for joining us here on this
Thank
Monday.
you. Thanks for coming on.
Let's keep going. We got more. Stephen Miller. Gotta love it. Let's see what he's saying about Alcatraz.
To take care. Alcatraz was built at a time when this country was strong. How to take care of villains and monsters. There are people in this country, as President Trump has said, who will do nothing with their lives but rape, maim, and murder. They cannot be rehabilitated. They cannot be saved. They cannot be coached in some better way of living. They are always going to hurt. They are always going to steal. They are always going to attack. And we need a place in this country where we can send people to visually demonstrate their total separation from society. The fact that they're not going to live among us and will never live among us. Alcatraz was built.
Sounds like Alcatraz is not just a bluff.
Caroline Levitt is with us. Caroline, thank you. Alcatraz, tell me more.
Great to see you, Sean. Thank you so much. And this is a phenomenal idea by President Trump that will be executed upon. In fact, I can confirm for you that the White House has already administered calls with the Bureau of Prisons, our counterparts at the Department of Justice, and our counterparts at the Department of Interior, because Alcatraz is now run by the National Park Service. And we know our great Secretary of Interior, Doug Burgum, is in charge of that. So the Bureau of Prisons has already confirmed that they are assessing next steps to reopen this notorious prison. And the reason for it is because President Trump is leaving no stone unturned to restore law and order to our country and to make it very clear to criminals, repeat offenders, not just illegal immigrant criminals, but also American citizens who have refused to comply with our nation's laws. If you have been repeatedly breaking the law, if you are in and out of prison, that is ending under this administration. President Trump's team is going to enforce our laws and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. So we are absolutely looking into this, assessing next steps. And
Wow. I never thought this would happen, but looks like it is on the table. Maybe they should move all those hearings to Alcatraz, right? They want due process? Well, the court just reopened. It's at Alcatraz. So the reopening of Alcatraz is not just about prison reform. It's about sending a message. America's done playing games with violent criminals. Every cell on that island represents our commitment to protecting law-abiding citizens. But this does raise some questions. Why do we ever abandon this powerful system of law and order to begin with? Who profited from the weak-on-crime policies that followed? And what took so long to bring it back? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're watching Justice Return to America, check out shop.nextnewsnetwork.com for official Next News Network gear. Each piece represents our unwavering commitment to real journalism and the truth about law and order in America. So join the movement that's fighting to keep our streets safe and our criminals where they belong. All right, we're at $78 in Super Chats. Jill Mason dropping $10. She says, save the children, but for real, not Dr. Jill Biden's organization. Thank you, Gary, for all of your reporting. Thank you so much, Jill Mason, 444. Moving right along into our next topic of the evening, our final topic of the evening. Let's see, Todd, you got you got 8 topics here? Why do I see 8? Because I know we're going into the DOGE right now. Okay. Let's see where we're at here. Whoa, Irving dropping $50. Holy cow, thank you. Thank you so much, Irving. Wow. $129.99 right now. And Chico Gaming dropping $1.99. Thank you. Wow, that's really generous. Wow. I'm kind of speechless here. I just saw that pop in and I'm like, whoa. Wow. Can't wait to tell Angie. Okay. Let's get our next topic going. Deep inside the federal bureaucracy, a mysterious team has been quietly working for months. They're known only by a 4-letter acronym, and one member's curious nickname has become legendary in Washington circles. And what they just uncovered makes previous government waste scandals look like accounting errors. And the numbers are so staggering, the evidence so damning, that 3 senior officials have already resigned, and tonight, for the first time, we're taking you inside their investigation. And what you're about to learn will change everything you thought you knew about government spending. And just as DOGE and their team is transforming government waste into efficiency, Patriot Switch is transforming American households with essential products made right here at home. Like these government watchdogs exposing corruption, we're exposing the truth about overseas manufacturing. No more questionable chemicals from foreign factories. No more supporting companies that put profits over American workers. So join the revolution in American-made household essentials by visiting patriotswitchnn.com. You'll find it linked below this video when you tap more, and you can register for exclusive access. Now remember, space is limited, and like government waste, once it's gone, it's gone. Now let's jump into this. Here's President Trump on Meet the Press discussing DOGE.
Those who believe Elon Musk's, what do you say to those who believe Elon Musk's chainsaw approach has jeopardized the safety and security of Americans?
Well, he found $160 billion worth of fraud, waste, and abuse. I mean, I think he's done an amazing job. I think his people have done an incredible job. They're brilliant people. They know the computer. I actually asked him, what's their big trait? He said they're unbelievable at computers. In other words, you can't fake them out because these people are, in many cases, crooks. But it was fraud, waste, and abuse. They found, your question should be asked a different way. Were certain things found? Yes. How much? $160 billion. Think of what $160 billion is. He found $160.
He said he'd find $2 trillion.
Well, we're not finished yet.
Mm-hmm.
We're not finished yet.
Do you think the work continues even though he's leaving? He said
sure. He's leaving behind some very brilliant people. They were on television last night. They're super high IQ people. I like high IQ people. The Democrats don't have many of them.
What do you say to those?
Let's go into that meeting. DOGE revealed the Treasury was spending upwards of $5 trillion a year without a budget code.
There was, sorry. So actually, a lot of great work at the Treasury this week. One of the crazy things with regards to the Treasury is that when a payment is made, and the computers at the Treasury actually pay about $5 trillion per year, like crazy amounts, there was formerly not a budget code on there. So if a payment was made, you didn't know actually what it was for. It could have been for anything. Yeah. There was a $4 billion COVID fund in the Department of Education, and there was no receipts required, so people could just draw down on it. And when people looked into it, this wasn't us, this was before us, they found that money was being used to rent out Caesar's Palace for parties, rent out stadiums, et cetera. And so the one change that DOGE made with the Department of Education is we had the simple requirement that if you draw down money, you must first upload a receipt. That was the only change that was made. You must upload your receipt. And upon doing so, yes, nobody drew down any money anymore.
Yes, but we didn't say that we'd check the receipt. You could send a fake receipt. You could send a picture of your dog. Anything. Anything. But as soon as we asked for anything at all, suddenly the requests were like, oh, we don't need it anymore. Huh, that's interesting.
They were renting Caesar's Palace.
Yes, they were like basically partying on the taxpayer money.
Stadiums.
Yes.
Leasing stadiums. For what?
For parties, basically.
For parties?
Yes.
That's a big party.
It's a big party.
You'd think if you were stealing, you'd start small.
They do start small. But then what happens is over the years, so generally the fraud starts out small and they try to hide it. But then year after year, if nobody stops the fraud, it gets more and more brazen. And every year it gets bigger until they're literally renting out stadiums. Like
what's $1 million to rent out a stadium?
Fraud in flagrante delicto, okay?
Elon, though, is stepping back from DOGE. He promises that DOGE will be permanent instead of wrapping up in July. Here's some info on that.
Billed as Elon Musk is stepping back from DOGE, even as he promises DOGE will become a permanent fixture in Washington, a permanent drain on our ruling swamp. Last week, Elon gave what media billed as a wrap-up of DOGE's work at a cabinet meeting, sporting 2 hats, saying he will spend more time on Tesla and, of course, going to Mars. Afterwards, he sat down with Axios for what the Washington Post framed as a, quote, exit interview. It was anything but. In fact, Elon said DOGE would be permanent instead of wrapping up on July 4th as originally intended. He called DOGE, quote, a way of life like Buddhism, adding, is Buddha needed for Buddhism? Moreover, this is what Elon does. In his companies, Elon is very hands-on setting it up. Then he leaves it to capable people and only parachutes in if there is a major problem to troubleshoot. This is what he does with Tesla, with SpaceX, with X, if you recall the kitchen sink. This is why Elon can run a half-dozen major companies worth several hundreds of billions. and still find time to go to MMA fights and repopulate the Earth. Having said it, Elon admitted Doge has not been, quote, as effective as I like. Namely, by his count, Doge has found $160 billion in spending when he had hoped for $1 trillion plus. A big part of that, of course, has been resistance from inside government, above all by Congress. Now, I mentioned in recent videos how the Republican Congress is trying to
Let's keep going. We've got some more from Kevin O'Leary talking about Elon Musk.
People, and I worked there, and I have a lot of respect for Elon. I'm going to say this quickly, but in life you're going to meet people, and I worked for Steve Jobs. He was about 80% signal, 10% noise, which means he was a very focused guy, not easy to work with, very unpopular, really nasty guy, but he really got it. Elon has no noise. He's 100% signal. He wastes 0 time in his day because he can't, but it does get him in a lot of trouble in different ways because he'll actually walk away from a conversation with you if he's wasting his time, and he realizes that. He has 0 time to waste. There's never been a man like him. You just have to look at what he's achieved, and thank goodness he's doing Doge right now because he's going to save a shitload of money. There, and I have a lot of respect for Elon.
And he is saving a lot of money. Here's more from Doge. We're empowering government workers to be missionaries, not mercenaries. What?
Are working through. I think it's really important to recognize every single person around this table that's embedded within an agency is supporting that agency, whether they're working on systems or working through people. We are encountering droves of government employees who are missionaries, not mercenaries, who are actually here serving because they believe in what they're doing and they want to do things well. We are trying to empower them, and they feel empowered now to ask the question of why? Why aren't we doing this? What else can we be doing? How can we fix this? And I think agency by agency, it is filled with exceptional government employees, right? And when we give them the tools, when we give them the systems, and we leave behind systems to help them do their jobs better, that's the permanent change, right? And they're embracing that, not because it's new to them, it's because it's something they've always wanted to do. But for the first time ever, we're giving them the tools and the collaboration to be able to do that. I think it's really...
Continuing on the Doge front, we finally meet the mysterious Big Ballz, and his character story did not disappoint.
Balls. Big balls.
It's big. That should be obvious.
Why do they call you Big Balls?
I just said it as my LinkedIn username.
Okay.
Well, people on LinkedIn take themselves like super seriously, and they're pretty adverse to risk. And I was like, well, I want to be neither of those things. So I said it, and honestly, I didn't even think anyone would notice.
Yeah.
So what do you
LinkedIn
do?
is so cringe.
What does Big Balls do?
Right now, I'm working on some payment computer stuff. So one of our initiatives is to root out fraud and waste. And to do that, we started looking at the payment computers. And as mentioned earlier, like there is no accounting of what payments actually go to in the payment computer. So like you look at a specific line item, like $20 million. You're like, okay, well, what is this money going to? And for the majority of payment systems, it's like, well, we don't really know.
We don't really know. That is basically government in a nutshell. Here is Jesse Waters asking how prehistoric is government tech.
If you were to say we have iPhones, does the government have pay phones? How prehistoric is this technology?
Oh, yes, it's very prehistoric.
It's very prehistoric.
It's like Flintstones.
It's Flintstone level stuff.
It's so prehistoric. Like dinosaurs would think this is, kind of old.
Okay.
That's how prehistoric it is.
Okay. So
I mean, basically the only thing living was a sponge. That's how prehistoric it was.
Okay, so we're leaving the Stone Age and we're moving into the Golden Age.
Pre-Cambrian era is what we're talking about.
Okay.
Unbelievable. Here's more with Elon Musk telling Primetime his plan to save humanity by colonizing Mars. Before we get to that, let's see what the president's talking
provide
about.
concrete. The DOGE team has confirmed that numerous individuals were involved in a complex scheme to defraud the American people. They have been able to provide concrete evidence of financial transactions and digital communication that will be presented to law enforcement. We are talking about a level of corruption that goes to the highest levels of government.
I don't know. Something feels off about this. There's a community note. Yeah. I had a feeling. The video's been digitally altered. There's no mention of a complex scheme to defraud the American people in the original video from March of 2025. So yeah, that sorry about that. Yeah, I felt something off. I felt something was weird about his mouth, his movements. You can kind of tell it's off. So that's definitely my bad. Well, here, let's go to the Elon Musk talking to Primetime about his plan to colonize Mars.
We have space.
What's more challenging, going to Mars or taking on Washington?
Going to Mars. Well, not going to Mars once, but say going to Mars to build a self-sustaining civilization on Mars. That is a very difficult thing, which SpaceX has not yet done, and we've yet to send anything to Mars. So, but whereas we have made significant progress in reducing waste and fraud to the government.
Why are we going to Mars?
Well, we're definitely, this is a change of subject, but we're going. It's not about going to Mars to visit once, but it is to make life multiplanetary, so that we can expand the scope and scale of consciousness to better understand the nature of the universe, and to ensure the long-term survival of civilization in the hopefully unlikely event that something terrible happens to Earth, that there is a continuance of consciousness on Mars.
This is a backup plan in case something bad happens here, going to Mars.
That's one of the benefits of Mars, is life insurance for life collectively. So eventually, all life on Earth will be destroyed by the sun. The sun is gradually expanding, and so we do, at some point, need to be a multi-planet civilization because Earth will be incinerated.
I'm hearing this for the first time. No one's ever told me the sun is going to burn Earth.
That's not a disputed fact.
I'm not disagreeing with it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I didn't know this was our destiny, to get roasted by the sun.
Yes, and I don't think there's anyone who would disagree with that.
So we have to set up plans to leave and spread out.
I mean, we have several 100 million years, so it's not like you don't hold your breath. It'll be okay. But if Earth has been around for 4.5 billion years, which is what the fossil record suggests, then Earth only has about 10% more life in it before it gets so hot that life is impossible.
Okay, so we've got that to look forward to, apparently. Okay, let's keep going. Here's more from that internal meeting at DOGE, and it's an inside like the caves of bureaucracy.
Been helping out with retirement.
We heard about a cave. We had federal workers working in a cave.
That's me.
Yeah.
Are they
Joe's actually been to the cave. Do you want to tell us about your cave? Your caving.
I wouldn't mind it.
You're spelunking.
So I've been helping out with retirement. And a few weeks ago, I had a chance to go to the mine. And so I took a golf cart through security down into the side of a mountain and entered, daylight left, and I entered this whole space of caverns and roads. And we get to a metal door, and I open it up. And there in front of me is a sea of filing cabinets from the 1960s. And I'm walking around, it's super chilly, smells like paper. And, I realize as a mine, it's a great mine. It's secure, it's well lit, temperature controlled. And so the question we're asking is not, is this a good place to store physical media, which it is. It's amazing for that. The question is, why are we still using paper in 2025? So I brought something to show you of what's inside the mine.
And it normally, the normal process for retirement can be over 6 months. So once you file your retirement papers, that's why it takes 6 months.
What is that?
So these are replica case folders that people use to retire from the government. And so these are all compiled by hand, moved around on carts through the mine. It takes many months to do that. And this one is a single retiree's paper required to leave the government.
If somebody wants to retire, they can't because it takes 6 months to compile the paper and carry the paper into a mine where it is stored. And also, all the calculations are done by hand.
Everything has
in
to be
2025.
Reconciled, adjudicated. This is thicker than the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
And if I had to process this, I would rather do my taxes in the dark than have to go through this.
Yeah.
And so what we're doing is we're bringing this process online with modern software. And I'm excited to share that as of tonight, we have 25 retirees going through an entirely online retirement process in the government for the very first time.
It sounds so simple.
Yes, and it's great collaboration with retirement services inside OPM. So this has always been their dream, and we're just here to help accelerate it.
That's a pretty fat stack. Was that Kissinger's?
Oh no, the record is almost several shopping carts.
There's a whole pallet for one retiree with 27 boxes of paper on it.
For one guy.
That's the record.
I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly, and it also frees up people, because we shouldn't have over 1,000 people carrying paper into a mine. That is not a good use of people's lives. So there are many other things that they could do that would be far more productive than carrying paper into a mine.
Oh my God. Well, at least that's getting solved. Thank God for Doge, man. Sincerely. Thank God for Doge. So the Doge team's discoveries aren't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. They're about decades of systematic plunder of American taxpayers. $160 billion in waste isn't just mismanagement. It is theft on an industrial scale. So tonight's revelations force us to ask, who's been protecting this corrupt system for all these years? How deep does this wasteful spending really go? And most importantly, what else will the Doge team uncover? Share your predictions in the comments below. And stop by shop.nextnewsnetwork.com for official Next News Network gear. Every time you wear our brand, you're standing with the truth tellers and whistleblowers who risk everything to expose government corruption. All right. That is the show tonight. We'll check in with the main feed real quick and see if there's anything breaking. I saw some stuff going on with an act of war. India striking Pakistan. Border skirmishes are breaking out as we speak. Bitcoin is now $3,000 away from 100,000. That's good news. Let's see. Mike Benz, the blob, now knows it does not have to win with politics because it can win with prosecutors. We cannot let them have control of the top prosecutor slot in D.C., confirm Ed Martin. Diddy accused of trying to connect with jurors. Uh-oh. Yeah. Chuck Cholesterol reporting that. That's the big trial that's going to be happening soon. And quite likely a lot of celebrities are going to be forced to testify in that. Let's see here. Megyn Kelly, the single best thing you'll hear today is this clip from Megyn Kelly coverage of the Met Gala. No thanks. We're going to keep a close eye on what's going on with Pakistan. I got a text message from somebody. Maybe we'll get him on the show tomorrow for an update. Someone I met in D.C. I'm going to keeping track of that because that could really spiral out of control because they are both nuclear powers. Road rage in Portland. Oh my goodness. Oh my. Oh my. That was not good. Big announcement coming soon from Donald Trump 54 minutes ago. What is that about? We'll find out soon, I'm sure. $129.99 in chat revenue and 14 new members. Let's check in on the main chat real quick, see what you guys are talking about before we go. Love and God bless Gary, Angie, Brian, Todd, and the whole N3 family for life. Automation D&D says, by the time the sun expands, we will need more than Mars. Extra solar, but we got to start somewhere. Oh, wow. Okay, so we're at 134.99. And Timothy Smith has become a member. Welcome, Timothy, to the family. And Jacob W. just gifted a membership just a minute ago. Very cool. And Crazy Cat Lady is watching from Sheridan, Texas. Right on. Tony says, my phone is almost dead. Love you, N3 family. Well, I think that's a good place to tie up the show. Got more work to do post-show, but we'll be back tomorrow. But what a night it's been, Patriots. The scope of what we've uncovered together paints a picture of a Washington establishment in complete freefall. So let's recap what we've all learned, because every revelation matters to Americans who still believe in accountability. Now, we started with President Trump's bold vision for American renewal, not just policy changes, but a fundamental transformation of how our nation operates. The evidence is undeniable. This administration is delivering results that Washington insiders claimed were impossible. Then we watched as Trump's tariff strategy sent shockwaves through the American economy. American manufacturing isn't just coming back, it's roaring back. China's economy is feeling the pressure, and for the first time in decades, the advantage is shifting back to American workers. And the corruption in Congress reached new heights tonight. Adam Schiff's property scandal, claiming 2 homes as primary residence, is just the tip of the iceberg. We saw Ilhan Omar telling reporters to F off when asked basic questions about her constituents, while Marjorie Taylor Greene calls for her removal over alleged foreign allegiance. Meanwhile, AOC and Bernie Sanders preach against private jets and oligarchs while spending $250,000 on private flights for their Fighting Oligarchy tour. The hypocrisy is stunning. The bombshell executive order banning Fauci's gain-of-function research represents a turning point in accountability. The same people who locked you down and masked your children were funding the very experiments that may have started it all. So tonight that all ends. We watched the mainstream media collapse in real time as their false narratives crumbled under the weight of truth. Their desperate attempts to spin reality only exposed their increasing irrelevance. The bold plan to reopen Alcatraz signals a return to real consequences for the worst offenders. It's about time America stopped playing games with violent criminals. And finally, the DOGE team's stunning discovery of $160 billion in government waste proves just how deep the swamp really goes. And their investigation is far from over, and of course we'll be here to bring you every development. And to our viewers who support us through Super Chats and Rumble Rants tonight, we see you and appreciate you, and we couldn't do this without you. Special thanks to everybody for your generous contributions. And we value this kind of reporting, the kind that exposes congressional hypocrisy and deep state corruption. There are 3 ways you can help keep us on air. First, visit our support page in the description. Second, share this broadcast with everybody you know. The truth spreads faster than their censorship. And then third, head over to our merch store to gear up with some Next News Network classics. And remember, we are live every night bringing you the stories they don't want you to hear. The establishment fears shows like this because they can't control the narrative. They can't stop the truth. This is Gary Franchi for the Next News Network. God bless you. God bless America. And we'll see you tomorrow night with more explosive revelations on the Raw feed.
feet every night.